Welcome to Monk's Moon Temple. There exists a profound stillness in the transition between what has been and what may yet unfold. Perhaps you find yourself here in the gentle aftermath of seasonal celebrations, as one calendar year gives way to the next, carrying with it both the echoes of what passed and the whispers of possibility. Or maybe you've arrived at this audio many months removed from any holiday, carrying within you a private, personal yearning for change, for renewal, for a subtle but significant shift in perspective. Whenever your journey has brought you to this moment, you are here because a quiet part of your being recognizes a fundamental truth: this present moment does not have to be a mere repetition of the last. This instant contains the potential for a new beginning, however small. But let us speak honestly about something often glossed over in the enthusiasm for fresh starts. New beginnings can carry a surprising weight. There exists a quiet exhaustion, a subtle fatigue, in the effort of attempting to construct a new version of yourself while simultaneously carrying the entirety of your previous self, your history, your habits, your memories, everywhere you go. You have likely made promises to yourself in the past. You have witnessed those promises bend or break under the pressure of daily living, and you have perhaps made them again with renewed, if weary, determination. In all that striving, in all that focused effort toward becoming, you might have overlooked the most revolutionary, the most compassionate whisper from the ancient wisdom traditions. That you, yourself, in your entirety, are as deserving of your own love and affection as any other being in this vast and interconnected universe. Not at some future point. Not after you have achieved specific goals or corrected perceived flaws. But precisely now, in this exact configuration of experience, beginning with the simple, undeniable reality of this breath flowing into and out of your body. What we are undertaking together is not merely another self-improvement project, another item to add to a checklist of personal optimization. It is something far older, far gentler in its approach. It is a way of beginning again that does not demand you reject or abandon who you are in this moment, but rather invites you to return to a fundamental wholeness you have always possessed. It commences in what might seem the most counterintuitive location. With kindness, deliberately and gently directed toward yourself. Not toward others as a primary focus. Not toward the wider world as an initial step. But toward you, the conscious being having this experience. Over the duration of our time together, something within your inner landscape can authentically shift. Not because you will forcibly make it happen through sheer willpower, but because you may finally create the conditions to allow it to happen, to stop resisting a natural movement toward peace. If it feels appropriate, you might imagine mentally sharing where you are listening from, the city, the room, the time of day, and what subtle or significant new beginning you are hoping to cultivate. Then, wherever you are, find a position that feels supportive and comfortable, locate a space that feels relatively quiet or insulated from immediate demands. Invite the year ahead, with all its unknowns and plans, to wait patiently just a little while longer. There is no hurry. We begin our shared exploration now. I recall a story concerning a man who made his home in a city known for its persistent rainfall, perhaps it was Seattle or Glasgow. For 4 full decades, he operated under the unexamined assumption that his actual life, his true and fulfilling life, was perpetually about to start. During his 20s, he was thoroughly convinced authentic happiness was intrinsically linked to obtaining the correct professional position, the right job title on a business card. Throughout his 30s, He believed with equal certainty it resided in finding the ideal romantic partner, securing the perfect home, establishing the approved domestic framework. As he moved through his 40s, the goalposts shifted again. Now fulfillment was definitely waiting for him just after his children became more independent, just after his retirement savings account reached a specific numerical threshold, just after a particular milestone was crossed. He was, in essence, always planning for a future period of sunshine while continuing to live under what felt like an endless, dreary drizzle of not yet, not quite, and almost there. One completely ordinary Wednesday afternoon, standing in his kitchen waiting for his coffee machine to complete its cycle, watching the diffuse gray daylight filter through the windowpane and illuminate particles of dust in the air, the realization struck him with unexpected clarity. He was not inhabiting his life, he was inhabiting the lobby, the waiting area of his life, metaphorically flipping through outdated magazines, anticipating the moment a distant receptionist would finally call his name. The catalytic moment that altered his trajectory was not dramatic. It had been seeded the previous day when a coworker, in a moment of casual concern, had simply asked him, "Are you doing okay right now?" Not, "Will you be okay when this project concludes?" Not, "Were you okay before the restructuring?" Simply, "Right now, in this moment." He had stammered out a response about workload pressures and the unrelenting weather. But later, in solitude, the sincerity of the question echoed in his mind. And he realized, in that exact moment of waiting for his coffee, his body was adequately warm, his breath was moving easily in and out of his lungs, the rhythmic pattern of rain against the window held a certain melancholic beauty. The majority of his suffering, he saw, was concentrated in the mental replay of yesterday's professional stresses and the anxious anticipation of tomorrow's scheduled meeting. But here, in the undeniable present, he was fundamentally, essentially okay. He possessed everything physiologically and environmentally necessary to experience a measure of peace, if only he would cease waiting for external circumstances to align into a different, supposedly superior pattern. Before we go deeper, if these teachings are resonating with you, if you feel that quiet whisper that there might be another way to meet your days, consider joining our community here at Monk's Moon Temple. Hit the subscribe button and tap the bell. It's completely free, and it ensures you won't miss our weekly explorations into mindfulness, compassion, and practical wisdom for everyday life. You're not just subscribing to a channel. You're joining a quiet refuge, a digital Sangha of fellow travelers. Now, let's continue together. This is the threshold where an ancient, enduring truth enters our awareness, not as a stern commandment or a burdensome obligation, but as a gentle, open-handed recognition you are invited to try on, to test in the laboratory of your own direct experience. This moment is a happy moment. Not this moment should be or ought to be a happy moment through force of will. Not this moment could be a happy moment if certain conditions were met. Just, as it is, with all its textures, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, it simply is a moment containing the potential for happiness, for a cessation of struggle. Now, I can almost sense the questions forming in your mind. That sounds philosophically appealing, you might think, but my lived reality involves genuine difficulty, tangible challenges. Is this merely a repackaging of toxic positivity, draped in the serene language of mindfulness? That is precisely the correct and necessary question to ask. Let us be unequivocally clear. These time-tested teachings never ask us to pretend suffering does not exist, to paper over authentic pain with a superficial smile. The first and foundational noble truth is the explicit acknowledgement that suffering, in its myriad forms, is an undeniable aspect of human experience. It is real. It hurts. It manifests. The profound wisdom here lies not in its denial, but in the liberating discovery of our inherent capacity to recognize that even within the tumultuous storm of circumstance, there exists a part of our awareness that remains fundamentally undisturbed, like the depths of the ocean beneath surface waves. That even when the totality of our life situation is not perfect, not fully resolved, the basic conditions for experiencing peace, the breath, the beating heart, the capacity for awareness itself, are still present, still accessible, right here and now. Consider a helpful visualization. Imagine your field of awareness as a room possessing two large windows. Through the first window, you gaze out upon the detailed landscape of your current challenges. The very real responsibilities awaiting your attention, the relationships that genuinely require your care and presence, the digital inbox filled with messages needing responses. That view is authentic. It is valid. It merits your skillful engagement. But through the second window in this room of your mind, you can observe an entirely different vista, the open sky, perhaps a single tree branch moving gracefully in the wind, the simple, miraculous fact of light itself illuminating the world. That view is equally real, equally present. Our modern conditioning, however, trains us relentlessly, almost exclusively, to fix our gaze upon the first window, to meticulously inventory everything that appears wrong, lacking, incomplete, or demanding. The practice of softly recognizing this moment is a happy moment does not ask you to board up the first window. It simply, gently, invites you to turn your head, even just a few degrees, to acknowledge that the second window exists, that its view is also part of the total reality of this moment, and that it offers its own form of nourishment. The man in the rainy city did not receive a sudden promotion or a shaft of magical sunlight following his kitchen epiphany. His practical challenges, the mortgage, the job, the family dynamics, remained largely unchanged. But he stopped implicitly demanding that those challenges completely vanish before permitting himself to feel the visceral warmth of the ceramic coffee mug in his hands, the distinctive quiet of the early morning before the household stirred, the simple, animal fact of aliveness humming within his own chest. So what, precisely, do we mean by this moment? We are not referring to the grand, overarching narrative of your life, the sweeping arc of your biography. We are not pointing toward the accumulated weight of past regrets or the shimmering, anxiety-inducing projections of future concerns. We are pointing to something far more immediate, more fundamental, the raw sensation of the breath as it enters and leaves your body. The tangible feeling of the surface beneath you, chair, floor, cushion, providing support, holding you up against the constant pull of gravity. The specific sound, or collection of sounds, arriving at your ears right now. The ancient teachers pointed towards something quietly radical. We do not necessarily need to manufacture a perfect, elaborate set of external conditions in order to touch peace. We may instead learn to recognize the conditions for peace that are already here, already operating, already available. Awareness of the body as a felt experience. You have that capacity now. Air to breathe. You are breathing it, this very instant. A path of practice, a way of walking through life with more awareness. You are on it, simply by virtue of listening, by showing up with curiosity. Companions on this journey, others who share this intention. Even at this moment, countless other individuals in their own homes, cars, or parks are pausing, listening, practicing in their own unique corners of the world, connected by a shared inclination toward wakefulness. These are not trivial or insignificant things. They are the fundamental, non-negotiable ingredients of human experience. They form the baseline from which everything else emerges. Let us taste this reality together, experientially. Right now. Not in 5 minutes after you finish something else. Now. Gently bring the focus of your attention to the natural rhythm of your breathing. There is no need to change it, to control it, to make it deeper, slower, or more ostensibly spiritual. Simply notice it. Feel the slight coolness or warmth of the air as it passes through your nostrils or the back of your throat. Feel the gentle expansion of your chest or the soft rise of your abdomen. Feel the natural, subtle pause at the very peak of the inhalation, and then the effortless, releasing quality of the exhalation that follows. As you breathe in, you might silently recognize, in your own words, "I am aware that I am breathing." As you breathe out, you might offer, "I release whatever tension I am carrying in this moment." Allow yourself one more complete breath cycle with this gentle attention. Breathing in. I am fully here. Breathing out, I offer a smile to this simple presence. Did you notice what occurred? For those few brief breath cycles, you were not actively waiting for anything to happen. You were not mentally rehearsing past conversations or meticulously planning future tasks. You were, quite simply, present. And in that brief window of undivided attention, nothing was fundamentally wrong. Nothing required immediate fixing. That is the direct felt texture, the qualitative experience, of "this moment is a happy moment." And here resides the truly revolutionary, empowering aspect. You can return to this basic recognition at any time, in virtually any circumstance. Not only during formal meditation sessions. Not exclusively in peaceful, curated environments. While washing a stack of dishes, you can feel the warmth of the water on your skin, see the play of light on the soap bubbles. While walking to your car or a bus stop, you can feel the specific sensation of your foot making contact with and pushing off from the earth. While waiting in a slow-moving line at a store, you can return your attention to the rise and fall of your own breath. Any moment, regardless of its external content, can become a happy moment when you meet it with the full measure of your conscious presence. This is not about manufacturing artificial joy or forced positivity. It is about recognizing the genuine, uncontrived peace that already exists in the space between our thoughts, a peace we often miss because we are habitually running from this immediate moment towards some imagined, conceptually better, future moment. This foundational understanding is precisely why the act of beginning anew does not require the arrival of a specific date on the Gregorian calendar. You do not need official permission from the turning of months. Every single breath, as a complete cycle of receiving and releasing, represents a fresh opportunity to begin again. Every conscious return to embodied presence, however fleeting, constitutes a legitimate fresh start. The man in the drizzly city began to practice this recognition as one might practice a new language, with initial awkwardness, with moments of forgetfulness. Drinking his morning coffee, this moment, with this bitter, warming taste, is a happy moment. Stuck in traffic, choosing to notice a resilient tree growing through a crack in the pavement, this moment, with this tree's quiet perseverance, is a happy moment. Even following a difficult conversation at work, finding the space of the very next breath, this breath, at least, is a happy moment. This practice did not magically erase his practical problems or financial pressures. But it effectively ended his unconscious residence in the psychic waiting room. He stopped postponing the possibility of peace until some indeterminate future date when all conditions would supposedly align perfectly. This simple, potent phrase serves as a gateway to deeper layers of understanding. Because what inner resources make it possible not merely to understand this intellectually, but to truly live from this perspective? The answer, which genuinely surprised me as well when I first encountered it, is that you are fundamentally more multifaceted, more resourceful than your everyday thinking mind assumes. Not in an abstract, theoretical sense, but in a practical, tangible, usable way. The physical body you observe in the mirror, that requires food, sleep, and experiences fatigue, represents just one aspect of your total being. According to these perennial teachings, you possess 3 other essential bodies or dimensions of being, and understanding their interplay changes everything about how you approach practice, healing, and daily living. These are not mere metaphors or poetic flourishes. They are as real and functional as your nervous system. And crucially, you already possess them. We are simply going to learn to recognize their presence and cultivate their strength together. Let me share with you a story about a nurse named Anew who worked in a busy Toronto emergency room. She had dedicated 15 years to this high-stakes environment, and somewhere along that demanding path, she unconsciously began to believe a specific, limiting story about herself: I have depleted my reservoir of compassion. I am now just an empty shell executing clinical protocols. The well is definitively dry. She carried this narrative like a second, heavier uniform beneath her scrubs. When a patient acted out in pain or fear, her internal monologue would instantly confirm, "See, I cannot handle this anymore. I'm numb." She was making concrete plans to leave the nursing profession altogether, convinced her innate capacity for authentic, empathetic care had been permanently extinguished by the relentless exposure to trauma. Then, during one exceptionally long overnight shift, a young man was brought in, highly agitated and verbally aggressive, lashing out at the triage staff. Standard de-escalation techniques seemed ineffective. In a state of sheer exhaustion, Anew did something not found in any hospital manual. She pulled a stainless steel stool close to his gurney, sat down at his eye level so she was not standing over him, maintained soft eye contact, and simply said, "This must feel incredibly terrifying for you right now." She did not move, did not flinch, did not look at her watch. He stared at her, his defiant posture held for a long moment, and then it shattered. He broke down into deep, shuddering sobs, confessing his terror about a recent job loss, his overwhelming fear of being a burden to his family, his sense of worthlessness. In that raw, unfiltered moment, Anew felt it, a deep, spontaneous, flowing current of understanding. It was not intellectual. It was visceral, a somatic knowing. It had not left her. It had been buried, perhaps, under accumulated layers of bureaucratic burnout, moral distress, and corrosive self-criticism, but it had been waiting, intact, for the right conditions to emerge. This intrinsic capacity is what we will term your seed body. It is not an attribute you must earn through good deeds or lengthy meditation. It is already present, inherent to your being. Every human being carries within them these latent seeds of clear understanding, of unconditional love, of liberating insight, your birthright capacity to wake up from habitual patterns, to see situations with fresh eyes, to respond from a place of compassion rather than conditioned reaction. Anya's seed body. Her essential Buddha nature had been there all along, a quiet potential. She had simply been unconsciously watering different seeds through her mental habits, seeds of frustration, seeds of emotional exhaustion, seeds of professional cynicism. Those seeds, receiving her attention, grew loud and weedy, temporarily drowning out the quieter, more tender seeds of patience and care. But the seeds of compassion never disappeared. They merely required attention, intention, and the right conditions to sprout. Pause and reflect on your own life narrative. Can you recall a specific instance where you forgave someone, not because they necessarily deserved it, but because you suddenly glimpsed the panorama of their personal struggle? Or a moment when you found unexpected patience with a fussy child, responding to the need beneath the behavior? Or a time you offered kindness to a stranger for no reason other than a shared moment of human recognition? That was your seed body revealing itself, making its presence known. That capacity emerged from within you. It was not imported from an external source. It has always been a part of your fundamental composition. And here lies the profoundly practical magic. Your seed body is not static. It can be cultivated, it can grow. Every conscious choice you make to respond with patience rather than automatic irritation, every decision to offer kindness instead of snap judgment, every moment you choose presence over distraction, you are actively watering these wholesome seeds. You are strengthening this innate capacity, making it more readily accessible, more resilient in the face of life's inevitable pressures. But this naturally leads to a vital, practical question. How, precisely, do you water these seeds on a daily basis? How do you create the conditions for your seed body to flourish? This is where the cultivation of your second body becomes essential. After that transformative night in the ER, Anya began integrating tiny, almost microscopic changes into her daily routine. She would sit in her car for 1 full minute before walking into the hospital, doing nothing but observing her breath. At the mandatory hand-washing stations between patient rooms, she would use the required 20 seconds to take 3 fully conscious breaths, feeling her feet firmly on the linoleum floor. When she felt the familiar heat of frustration or overwhelm rising in her chest, she instituted a new rule: feel the soles of both feet making contact with the ground before formulating a verbal response. These were not grand, dramatic gestures. They were disarmingly simple, almost laughably modest in their scope. Yet, within a few months, a perceptible shift occurred. Her professional resilience, which she thought was gone, began to return. She started experiencing brief, unexpected glimpses of the sense of purpose that had originally drawn her to nursing. What was happening on a mechanistic level? She was consciously building and strengthening her practice body. Your practice body is the living sum total of all the intentional actions you take to cultivate mindfulness, to generate embodied presence, to water the wholesome seeds within your seed body and, conversely, to refrain from feeding the unwholesome ones. When you pause to breathe with deliberate awareness, you are actively constructing your practice body. When you walk from one room to another and actually feel the sensations of movement in your legs and feet instead of being lost in mental commentary, you are reinforcing your practice body. When you eat a meal and genuinely taste the flavors, textures, and aromas, rather than consuming food while distracted by a screen, you are directly nourishing your practice body. Here is a crucial, empowering insight: your practice body is portable. It accompanies you everywhere. No external circumstance, no other person, can confiscate it. No one can strip you of your ability, however nascent, to return your attention to your breath, to anchor yourself in the sensations of this immediate moment, to choose presence over habitual distraction. For Anew, her developing practice body became her psychological and emotional root system amidst the chaotic whirlwind of the emergency department. When the tidal wave of administrative overwhelm or human suffering threatened to pull her under, her practice body offered a simple, immediate refuge: breathe. Pause. Just this one clinical task, just this one patient in front of you, right now. However, Anew encountered a predictable obstacle approximately 6 months into her renewed commitment. The sheer, relentless busyness of her life, the double shifts, the family obligations, began to swallow her well-intentioned practices. She would realize at the end of a day that she had forgotten her mindful breathing entirely, slipping back into the autopilot of survival mode, into the old, familiar patterns of reactivity she believed she had moved beyond. She felt a wave of discouragement, a sense of personal failure, until an older, wiser colleague observed her struggle and posed a simple, penetrating question: "Anew, are you trying to nurture this practice entirely by yourself, as a solitary endeavor?" This inquiry gracefully leads us to the third body, which is perhaps the most critical component for sustaining this transformative work over a lifetime: your community body. There exists an evocative old teaching parable about a tiger and its native mountain terrain. A tiger that wanders far from its familiar mountain range becomes vulnerable, disoriented, and susceptible to hunters. It loses its natural advantages, its intuitive knowledge of the landscape. Conversely, a tiger that remains within its mountain home is powerful, confident, and supported by the environment itself. It knows every trail, every stream, every sheltered cave. For a practitioner of mindfulness and compassion, the mountain is the Sangha, the community of practice. And your community body is your connection to and participation within that supportive environment. It is vital to understand that this is not exclusively about finding a physical Buddhist monastery or a formal meditation center, although those can be wonderful. Your community body can be any constellation of people, however small or informal, who share a committed intention to wake up, to live more consciously. It is the relational environment that actively supports and reinforces your individual practice. Anew discovered her community body in surprisingly humble places. A small, private text message group with 2 other nurse friends where they would each share just one mindful moment from their challenging week. A weekly, 30-minute online meditation sit she joined, where participants from different cities would gather via video call simply to breathe in shared silence. Even mentioning her practice casually to her sister, who then began to occasionally ask, "How has your breathing practice been this week?" That simple, caring inquiry itself became a thread in the fabric of her community body. The difference between solitary practice and communal practice is profound. When you practice in isolation, You rely entirely on your own fluctuating willpower and fallible memory. On days when your motivation is low or your stress is high, the practice can easily be neglected. However, when you practice within the embrace of a community body, you are subtly upheld by a collective energy, a shared field of intention. On days when you forget to be mindful, someone else in your community circle is remembering. When your personal practice feels arid, difficult, or barren, you can mentally lean on the steady, quiet commitment of others who are walking a similar path. You are not alone in your efforts. Now, let us observe how these three dimensions of your being interact synergistically, creating a powerful ecosystem for transformation. Your seed body, your innate capacity for wisdom and compassion, requires consistent nourishment to grow from latent potential into active expression. Your practice body, your daily, moment-to-moment actions of mindfulness, provides that essential nourishment. Your community body, your network of supportive relationships, creates the stable, encouraging environment where your practice body can remain strong, consistent, and resilient against the erosive forces of daily life. They are not separate, isolated components, they are intimately interconnected, each one feeding and supporting the others. A strong, supportive community body makes the maintenance of your personal practice feel more joyful and sustainable, less like a lonely discipline. A strong, consistent practice body provides the direct nutrients that cause your seed body of innate compassion to visibly flourish and mature. And a strong, well-developed seed body naturally makes you a source of stability and inspiration for your wider community body. Your very presence becomes a nourishing gift to others, creating a virtuous, reinforcing cycle. Anya, the nurse who believed she was irrevocably burnt out, slowly, organically became the colleague whom other staff members would seek out during moments of crisis or moral distress. Not because she had become a perfectly enlightened being, but because she had diligently tended to these three interlocking aspects of her being. She watered her wholesome seeds through intention. She cultivated a practice body through tiny, relentless, consistent actions. She found and nurtured a few genuine connections within a community body. And through this integrated cultivation, her entire experience of her work, her resilience, and her sense of purpose gradually transformed. This integrated framework is available to you, right now, as you contemplate beginning anew. You are not tasked with building these bodies from absolute scratch, as if they were foreign objects. Your role is to recognize their pre-existence within you, to understand their function, and then to tend to them with gentle consistency. Your seed body is already present. Think of one authentic moment of empathy you have experienced, and you will sense its latent presence. Your practice body is already forming with every single mindful breath you have taken while listening today. Your community body is already emerging in the shared intention connecting everyone who is engaging with these words at this moment. With this foundational understanding of your inner resources, the seed, practice, and community bodies, we can now explore the practical architecture of beginning anew, a structured 3-day journey designed to transform how you relate to yourself, to your cherished loved ones, and to the inevitable difficulties of life. This 3-day structure is not arbitrary. It is specifically designed to engage with and strengthen all three of your bodies simultaneously, creating a holistic and integrated experience of renewal. I recall a story about a family living on a small, diversified farm in the rolling hills of Vermont. Their estrangement did not arrive with dramatic confrontation or overt betrayal. It manifested through the slow, silent erosion that occurs when individuals, those sharing physical space, gradually stop genuinely seeing and hearing one another. The daily grind, the pre-dawn animal chores, the constant financial pressures of a small agricultural business, the silent meals eaten in exhausted fatigue, had, brick by invisible brick, constructed walls of polite separation between them, a mother, a father, and their teenage son. They lived together under one roof, yet they increasingly inhabited separate, parallel orbits, communicating in transactional shorthand about chores and schedules. One particularly cold and silent January evening, after yet another wordless dinner where the only sounds were cutlery on plates, the mother looked at her two beloved yet distant family members and voiced a quiet, devastating truth: "I feel as though I don't truly know either of you anymore. We've become polite strangers." The father's immediate instinct was to defensively argue, to list all the practical ways they provided for each other. But as he opened his mouth, he looked across at his son's closed-off, downward-turned face and realized with a shock that he could not name his son's closest friend. He looked at his wife, the woman he had built a life with for 20 years, and saw the eyes of a stranger, her inner world a complete mystery to him. That night, from a place of quiet desperation, the mother suggested something she had encountered in her reading, a 3-day period of intentional reconnection, a Buddhist-inspired practice called beginning anew. The father was profoundly skeptical, viewing it as impractical spiritual fluff. The teenage son was resistant, rolling his eyes at the perceived awkwardness. Yet, something in the mother's voice, not demanding, but genuinely hopeful, prompted them to reluctantly agree to try. What unfolded over those 72 hours did not magically solve the farm's debt or melt the deep winter snows. But it did, crucially, crack the thick layer of emotional ice that had formed between them. By the evening of the third day, they found themselves speaking to one another with a different quality of attention, listening with less preconception, actually seeing each other's faces again. The son later described the experience to a friend not as a dramatic reconciliation, but as, remembering, kind of surprisingly, that we're actually all on the same team here. Why a 3-day framework? There is considered psychological and pedagogical wisdom in this rhythmic structure. Day 1 focuses the lens of attention directly inward, on the vital work of reconciling with yourself. This is the indispensable foundation. It is remarkably difficult, if not impossible, to authentically offer kindness and patience to others if you are internally engaged in a state of covert war with yourself. Day 2 consciously expands the circle of care outward, to encompass your beloved ones, immediate family, close friends, partners. Once you have practiced directing compassionate attention toward your own inner experience, extending that same quality of care toward those you already love becomes a more natural, graceful movement, an overflow from a filled cup, rather than a draining sacrifice from an empty one. Day 3 engages with the most advanced territory, reconciling with genuine difficulty, with individuals who have caused you pain, with old wounds that still feel tender, with situations that appear irreconcilable. This profound work only becomes genuinely possible, and psychologically safe, after you have built a foundation of inner strength and compassionate connection on the first 2 days. The progression mirrors learning a practical skill like swimming. You start in the shallow end where you can safely touch the bottom, building confidence, before gradually moving into deeper waters as your skill and comfort increase. It is important to emphasize that this is not an exclusive ritual reserved for the New Year holiday. While the turning of the calendar provides a powerful, culturally recognized threshold and a built-in sense of symbolic renewal, you can consciously choose any 3-day period that aligns with your life rhythm. You might initiate this practice in the aftermath of a significant conflict that needs healing. You might begin at the symbolic start of a new season, the first days of spring or autumn. You might simply begin when you feel an internal, intuitive call to reset, to reconnect, to start again with clearer intention. The practice retains its transformative power whenever you sincerely engage with it, because the power does not reside in specific dates on a calendar. The power emanates from your own conscious intention to pause, to look honestly at what has been neglected, and to actively choose reconnection. I am aware that as we approach this structured practice, certain understandable concerns or resistances may surface within you. An internal voice might whisper, "What if I'm not emotionally ready for this depth of work?" Or perhaps, "What if I try this structured process and it simply doesn't work for me, leaving me feeling more discouraged?" Or maybe a more protective fear arises. What if digging into these areas consciously actually makes things feel worse, more raw? Let me speak directly to these valid, human apprehensions, because they are real, and they are exactly the kind of concerns a wise teacher would want us to acknowledge and address before beginning. First, the notion of readiness is often overrated as a prerequisite. If we all waited until we felt completely, 100% ready to practice, to heal, to begin anew, most of us would be waiting indefinitely, perpetually preparing to begin. True readiness is often forged in the doing, in the very act of beginning. The practice itself, engaged with gentleness, creates the inner readiness you seek. The Vermont farm family did not feel remotely ready. The father anticipated unbearable awkwardness. The son expected performative, fake interactions. The mother, who had proposed it, was secretly terrified it would fail, forcing her to confront a potentially irreparable distance. Yet, they began anyway. Shakily, imperfectly, self-consciously, and the simple, clear structure of the practice itself provided a container that held them through the discomfort. Second, this practice is intentionally designed with psychological safety woven into its structure. You are not asked to dive headfirst into the most emotionally charged waters on the very first day. You begin, in private, with yourself, proceeding entirely at your own internal pace. If completing the work of day one feels like a monumental enough step, you may honorably pause there. If the exercises of day two bring up more emotional material than you feel equipped to handle in one sitting, you are encouraged to pause, to breathe, to return to the practice later when you feel resourced. Nothing in this framework demands that you override your own innate wisdom about what you can healthfully process and hold. The 3-day structure is meant to serve as a supportive container, not a confining cage. It offers a compassionate path to follow but does not dictatorially dictate your pace. It provides gentle guidance while fundamentally respecting your personal autonomy and boundaries. Third, the fear that looking at things honestly will make things worse is common, yet the reality is often different. What typically feels like making things worse is actually the process of making things conscious. It is bringing clear awareness to suffering, distance, or resentment that was already present but had been passively ignored, suppressed, or mentally bypassed. The underlying fear is rarely that the practice will create new problems. The deeper fear is that the practice will courageously reveal problems that are already actively existing, and that this revelation might feel temporarily destabilizing. While this initial unveiling can indeed feel uncomfortable, it is also the unequivocal beginning of any authentic, lasting healing. The mother in our Vermont story later shared that the most frightening moment of the entire process was actually voicing the suggestion to practice, because once she named aloud that they had lost authentic connection, she could not unname it, could not retreat back into comfortable denial. Yet, that very act of naming, that courageous acknowledgement, became the necessary doorway through which genuine reconnection eventually became possible. Therefore, as we prepare to walk through the architecture of these 3 days together, I want you to know that you are held in a context of safety. These practices have been refined and transmitted over millennia by individuals who understood the topography of human suffering with intimate depth and who developed these methods as skillful medicine for the heart and mind, not as a form of psychological torture or exposure. The historical Buddha's entire teaching career was motivated by a desire for liberation, for genuine freedom, for the cessation of unnecessary suffering. Every technique he shared moves in that direction, toward relief, not toward additional pain. Let us now overview the 3-day journey from a bird's-eye perspective before diving into the specifics of each day. Day 1 is dedicated to reconciliation with yourself. You will practice looking at the contents of your own mind and heart with clarity and non-judgment, recognizing both the wholesome and unwholesome seeds within your consciousness, and learning practical ways to work skillfully with both. You will systematically direct the phrases of loving-kindness meditation toward yourself, line by line, meeting your own being with the compassionate understanding you rightly deserve. This day is private, internal, a sacred dialogue between you and you. Day 2 focuses on reconciliation with your beloved ones. You will practice looking deeply at someone you cherish, seeing them more clearly beyond your habits and assumptions, understanding how you might support their happiness more effectively, and recognizing with humility where you may have unintentionally caused them minor harm through negligence or habit. You will direct loving kindness toward them, and you may feel inspired to communicate with them in new, more present, more tender ways. This day extends your practice outward while keeping it within the relatable realm of existing love and care. Day 3 invites reconciliation with difficulty. This represents the most advanced layer of the practice, the one that asks for the greatest maturity and inner stability. You will look at someone or some situation that has caused you legitimate suffering, and you will practice finding a perspective of understanding, a pathway to inner peace, and ultimately, freedom from the confining prison of long-held resentment. This day is genuinely optional. If it feels too soon, or if the wounds are too fresh and actively painful, you honor that wisdom. But if you feel internally resourced and ready, it offers a potentially profound experience of liberation. Each of these 3 days incorporates several interwoven practices: the practice of looking deeply, a form of clear, compassionate inquiry; the practice of loving-kindness meditation, metta, mindfulness of breathing; and the grounding practice of touching the earth to connect physically with a sense of support, ancestry, and interconnection. We will walk through each practice together, step by unhurried step, with ample space woven in for you to pause the recording, to breathe, to integrate the insights that arise. The Vermont family practiced these 3 days largely in respectful, companionable silence with each other physically present. They would gather in their lived-in farmhouse living room in the evenings, each person doing their own internal work, simply sharing the same physical space while engaged in parallel inner journeys. Sometimes the son would cry quiet, unexpected tears, and his mother would simply move to sit closer on the couch, not probing with questions, just offering her silent, physical presence as an anchor. Sometimes the father would need to step outside into the frigid night air and walk slow circles around the bare orchard, working through emotions he lacked words to name. On the evening concluding the 3rd day, they sat together and shared just one simple insight each person had discovered. Not a grand analysis, just one thing. The son said, "I discovered I'm angrier about some stuff than I even knew, and that's okay, I guess." The mother said, "I discovered that underneath all the tiredness, I still have hope for us." The father, his voice thick, said, "I discovered I've been so afraid of failing you both, of failing this farm, this family, that the fear made me just disappear." Those were not declarations of complete, final healing. They were honest beginnings. And in the realm of transformation, beginnings are everything, they are the essential, sacred starting point. So, we begin now, you and I, with day 1. We begin with who is often the hardest person to offer unconditional love to, the one you have likely been waiting to love until you became somehow more worthy, more accomplished, more spiritually evolved, more emotionally healed. We begin with you. And I need to be transparent with you about something at the outset. This initial movement of directing genuine, deliberate kindness toward yourself might feel unfamiliar, even uncomfortable, at first. This discomfort does not mean you are doing it wrong. It usually indicates that you are doing something profoundly counter-habitual. We have been culturally and personally trained, to a remarkable degree, to become harsh inner critics, to immediately notice everything that is flawed or lacking, to withhold our own kindness as a conditional reward for achieving perfection or meeting impossible standards. This practice asks for something different, something quietly revolutionary. It asks you to offer love to yourself not as a reward for achievement, but as a birthright because you are alive, because you are present in this moment, because you are sincerely trying to navigate this human experience. Let us discover together what becomes possible when you finally, authentically direct the energy of loving kindness toward the one person who arguably needs it most, and from whom it is most often withheld, yourself. There was a master carpenter in the vibrant city of Barcelona named Matteo, a man with skilled hands that could shape wood into beautiful, functional forms. Yet, Matteo could not bear to look directly at his own reflection in the polished surfaces of his finished cabinets. He would glance, quickly adjust a stray lock of hair, but he could never hold his own gaze, could never meet his own eyes for more than a fleeting second. While attending a community woodworking and mindfulness workshop, a visiting teacher mentioned the practice of offering loving kindness to oneself while looking calmly into a mirror. Matteo's entire body recoiled visibly, a physical flinch that did not go unnoticed. The teacher, with gentle curiosity, asked, "What arises for you, Matteo, when you consider looking at yourself in that way. Matteo tried to laugh it off, to deflect. Oh, I just don't like looking at myself, that's all. Not my favorite pastime. But the teacher waited in patient, non-demanding silence, and in that spacious quiet, something within Matteo softened and cracked open. I don't like what I see, he finally confessed, his voice dropping. I see every professional mistake I ever made etched there. I see all the ways I've disappointed people who counted on me. I see someone who is fundamentally not enough and who probably never will be. The teacher nodded slowly, taking in this vulnerable admission, and then offered a statement that stunned Matteo with its simplicity and truth. You have been so profoundly busy, for so many years, being your own most relentless critic, that you have completely forgotten how to be your own friend. The critic's voice has drowned out the friend's. This is precisely where day one of beginning anew starts. With the revolutionary, often neglected recognition that you are inherently deserving of your own kindness. Not after you have fixed everything you perceive as wrong. Not once you have successfully transformed into the person you believe you should be. But right now, in this present configuration of experience, exactly as you are in this moment. And I need to be explicitly clear about a crucial point before we proceed further. This practice of self-directed kindness is not selfish in any negative sense. Our contemporary culture has often trained us to believe that caring for ourselves is somehow a subtraction from our care for others, that self-compassion is a form of self-indulgence, that loving ourselves equates to narcissism or self-absorption. The Buddha and wisdom traditions across the world taught something radically different. He essentially said, you cannot authentically, sustainably offer to others what you have not first learned to offer to yourself. You cannot genuinely give from an empty cup without eventually depleting yourself into resentment or burnout. You cannot extend authentic compassion for another person's suffering if you are simultaneously drowning in a sea of your own unacknowledged, unattended pain. Self-love in this contemplative context has nothing to do with ego inflation, vanity, or placing yourself above others. It is about the basic, just recognition that you, too, are a being worthy of the same compassion you would so readily extend to a dear friend in distress. It is the practical understanding that healing yourself is not a separate, isolated project from healing your relationships or contributing to the world. It is the essential, non-negotiable foundation for all other forms of healthy giving. Matteo, the carpenter who could not meet his own gaze, spent the remaining 3 days of that workshop practicing something that felt, in his words, almost impossibly difficult. He practiced deliberately directing the phrases of loving kindness toward himself. What he discovered through this persistent, gentle effort changed the entire trajectory of his relationship with himself and, by extension, with his life. Let me now guide you through this practice as it was shared with him, as it has been shared for generations, phrase by meaningful phrase, with space for each intention to settle into your awareness. The practice traditionally begins with these words, "May I be peaceful and light in body and mind." Upon first hearing, this phrase may seem almost deceptively simple, perhaps too basic. But let us unpack it carefully and explore what is truly being invoked here. Peaceful in body refers to a state where your physical form is not carrying unnecessary, habitual tension. Right now, As you listen, bring a scan of awareness to your shoulders. Are they subtly creeping upward toward your ears, bracing against some unseen load? Notice your jaw. Is there a faint clenching, a holding? Notice your breath. Is it shallow and held high in the chest, or does it move deeply and easily into the abdomen? Most of us carry so much chronic, low-grade muscular tension that we have stopped perceiving it as tension. It has become our unconscious baseline, our default setting. To wish to be peaceful in body is to wish for the release of that habitual armoring, that physiological bracing we have built over years of navigating life stresses. Light in body does not refer to physical weight. It points to a qualitative feeling of not being burdened by your physical existence. It is the wish to not feel as though your body is an adversary, a collection of problems to be solved, flaws to be corrected. It means moving through the world without the heavy, psychic weight of constant self-critique about appearance, aging, or comparison. Peaceful in mind signifies a state where the constant, churning activity of the thinking mind, the relentless planning, reviewing, worrying, judging, can settle, if only temporarily. Not forever, not perfectly, but sufficiently that you can hear the silence between thoughts, that you can experience mental rest. Light in mind means your thoughts, particularly the repetitive, painful stories you tell yourself about your inadequacy, your past failures, your perceived unworthiness, lose their crushing gravitational pull. They become recognized as simply thoughts, as transient mental events, not as absolute, definitive truths about your identity. Let us practice this first line together right now. Take a gentle, easy breath and silently repeat the phrase in your mind, "May I be peaceful and light in body and mind." Now, say it again internally, slower this time, sincerely meaning the wish as you offer it to yourself, "May I be peaceful and light in body and mind." Notice what arises in your inner landscape as you offer this wish. Does it feel awkward? False? Does a voice protest that you don't deserve such peace or lightness? Matteo reported that it initially felt like lying to himself, like pretending to wish himself well when his internal reality was dominated by self-criticism and disappointment. His teacher offered an invaluable insight: you are not lying. You are planting seeds in the garden of your heart. Your job is not to believe the words instantly, but to keep faithfully watering the seeds by repeating them. The next line invites us into deeper territory. May I be safe and free from inner and outer harm. This one often gives people pause, as it can feel almost childlike in its directness. Yet, it addresses one of our most fundamental human needs, the need for safety. This is not merely physical safety from accidents, though it includes that. It encompasses emotional, psychological, and spiritual safety as well. Free from harm, in this context, extends to being protected from the violence we can inflict upon ourselves through our own destructive habit patterns, through our harsh internal self-talk, through choices we make that ultimately harm our well-being. When you say, "May I be safe," you are essentially asking for protection from your own worst, most unconscious impulses. From the part of you that might sabotage your happiness, from the internal voice that whispers you don't deserve good things, from the ingrained patterns that keep you cycling in familiar sufferings. The teaching suggests that many of our accidents are not entirely random, they can be drawn toward us by an unsettled, reactive state of mind. When we are caught in waves of anger, we make careless choices. When we are drowning in despair, we stop taking basic protective measures for ourselves. When we are driven by blind craving, we take risks that endanger our equilibrium. Therefore, wishing yourself safety is also wishing yourself mindfulness. Wishing yourself protection is wishing yourself the clarity and presence of mind to make choices that truly honor your life and well-being. Let us practice this line. May I be safe and free from inner and outer harm. Once more, with focused tenderness, may I be safe and free from inner and outer harm. Feel the innate care embedded in that wish. You are saying to yourself, I want you to be okay. I want you protected. Your safety, on all levels, matters to me. The third line addresses what is often the primary source of our ongoing distress. May I be free from anger, states of mind that cause suffering, and unnecessary worries. This is where the practice engages directly with the messy reality of our inner weather. Matteo broke down when he first sincerely attempted this line, because he wasn't just occasionally irritated, he was a vessel for deep, seething fury. Fury at himself for his perceived life mistakes, fury at others for their judgments or betrayals, fury at life itself for not unfolding according to his private blueprint. And beneath that turbulent anger was a swamp of other, unwholesome states, envy, simmering resentment, fear, corrosive shame, pockets of despair. Emotional material he had never fully named or acknowledged, simply carrying it like toxic psychological waste inside him. What makes this line so potent is that it names these difficult states without condemning you for experiencing them. The historical Buddha did not teach that anger makes you a bad person. He taught that anger is a state that causes you to suffer. He did not say you should feel ashamed of your difficult mental states. He identified them as obstacles to your innate peace, and affirmed that you deserve freedom from them. This is radical self-compassion in action. It is not the oppressive command, I shouldn't feel angry, which merely creates a secondary layer of suffering about the anger. It is the liberating wish, may I be free from anger because I deserve peace. The states of mind that cause suffering include all the mental formations that disturb your inner tranquility. Jealousy when someone else succeeds, resentment when you feel overlooked, free-floating anxiety about the future, sticky regret about the past. These are not indicators of moral failure, they are universal human experiences that generate genuine pain. And you are worthy of freedom from that unnecessary pain. Practice with me now. May I be free from anger, states of mind that cause suffering, and unnecessary worries. Offer it once more, with full, gentle intention. May I be free from anger, states of mind that cause suffering, and unnecessary worries. Notice if any internal resistance arises. Sometimes we become so identified with our anger or our anxiety that wishing for their absence feels like wishing for a part of ourselves to disappear. But remember, you are not your anger. You are the aware, spacious consciousness that can observe anger arising, abiding, and passing away, like a storm cloud moving across the sky of your awareness. Now we arrive at what Matteo described as the true game changer, the line that fundamentally altered his relationship with himself. May I know how to look at myself with the eyes of understanding and compassion. This line cracked his heart open completely, because he realized with startling clarity that he had been looking at himself exclusively through the eyes of judgment for his entire adult life. Eyes that meticulously catalogued every flaw, every missed opportunity, every way he fell short of his own ideals. Eyes that perceived him not as a complex, feeling human to be understood, but as a problem to be fixed, a project to be managed. The Buddha taught that understanding, prajna, and compassion, karuna, are the two ultimate antidotes to suffering, yet we almost never think to turn these powerful medicines toward ourselves. To look at yourself with understanding means asking, why am I like this in this specific area, without the accompanying whip of judgment? What life conditions, what earlier sufferings, what learned protections created this pattern? What underlying hurt was I trying to manage when I developed this habit? Matteo began asking these questions about the parts of himself he disliked most. His tendency to emotionally withdraw when situations became intense. He saw it originated in a childhood where speaking up emotionally often led to punishment or ridicule. His relentless perfectionism that made him impossible to satisfy. He saw it developed as a survival strategy in an environment where love and approval felt fiercely conditional on performance. Understanding does not excuse harmful behavior, but it transforms your relationship to your own patterns from one of warfare to one of compassionate curiosity. Compassion in this context means the simple, radical recognition, I am suffering in this area, and that suffering matters. I deserve relief from this suffering. Not, I should be suffering less, not, others have it worse, so I shouldn't complain, but the straightforward, gentle acknowledgement, this hurts. And that is valid. Let us practice this transformative line. May I know how to look at myself with the eyes of understanding and compassion. Again, let it sink in more deeply. May I know how to look at myself with the eyes of understanding and compassion. The next line is an invitation to become a treasure hunter in your own consciousness. May I be able to recognize and touch the seeds of joy and happiness already in myself. We are so rigorously trained to notice what is wrong, deficient, or lacking that we can become functionally blind to what is already right, strong, and beautiful within us. We can instantly list our flaws but struggle to name our strengths. We remember our failures in vivid detail but allow our successes to fade from memory within days. The teachings affirm that every single person has seeds of joy and happiness within their consciousness. Seeds of love, of innate generosity, of courage, of wisdom. They are present even when you cannot perceive them, even when they have gone unwatered, unattended for years. This line invites you to become an active treasure hunter in your own psyche. To consciously look for what is good, strong, resilient, and beautiful within you. Not to inflate the ego, but to remember your inherent wholeness, which exists alongside your wounds. Think, right now, of one specific time you were kind when you could have been indifferent or cruel. One moment you consciously chose patience when the easier path was anger. One instance where you helped someone quietly, with no audience to witness it. That action is proof of a seed of joy within you. That is evidence of your seed body, your Buddha nature. And when you recognize it, when you touch it with the warmth of your awareness, you water it, you strengthen it. Practice this intentional seeking. May I be able to recognize and touch the seeds of joy and happiness already in myself. Feel the qualitative shift from automatic criticism to deliberate appreciation. May I be able to recognize and touch the seeds of joy and happiness already in myself. The sixth line hands you practical agency and permission. May I learn how to nourish myself with joy each day. Notice the language, not, may joy randomly find me, but, may I learn how to nourish myself. This places the power and responsibility gently back into your hands. Nourishing yourself with joy does not require dramatic life overhauls. It can mean learning to pause and actually taste your morning beverage. It can mean stepping outside to feel the sun or wind on your skin for 30 conscious seconds. It can mean calling a friend whose laughter is infectious. It can mean listening to one song that reliably lifts your spirit. It can mean noticing one single beautiful or interesting thing on your commute. These are not frivolous luxuries, they are essential nutrients for your seed body. This line gives you explicit permission to actively seek out these small joys, to prioritize them, to structure your days around moments of nourishment, not solely around obligations and duties. Try it now. May I learn how to nourish myself with joy each day. Make it a soft commitment to yourself. May I learn how to nourish myself with joy each day. The seventh line builds your foundational stability. May I be able to live fresh, solid, and free. Fresh means not being psychologically weighed down by the past, not being defined by yesterday's mistakes, not being imprisoned by old, outgrown identities. Freshness means you can begin anew in any moment, you can reinvent your relationship to yourself. You can let go of who you thought you were and embrace who you are in the process of becoming. Solid means having a stable, reliable ground to stand upon internally. Not rigid, but deeply rooted, like a mature tree. Solidity means you do not get completely upended by every passing storm of emotion or shifting opinion. You have a practice, a core, that anchors you, a sense of self that does not crumble under external pressure. Free means not being trapped by craving or aversion, not being controlled by external circumstances or other people's expectations. Freedom means you have the capacity to choose your responses rather than being yanked around by automatic reactions. Freedom means you belong to yourself. These three qualities, fresh, solid, free, create the essential foundation for genuine, unshakable happiness. Without solidity, you are too unstable for peace to take root. Without freshness, you remain stuck recycling old sufferings. Without freedom, you are perpetually at the mercy of external conditions. Practice anchoring yourself in this triad. May I be able to live fresh, solid, and free. Feel the strength and resilience in these words. May I be able to live fresh, solid, and free. The final line of the traditional practice offers protection from two common spiritual pitfalls. May I not fall into a state of indifference, nor be caught in the extremes of attachment and aversion. Indifference, here, is not peace, it is a state of numbing out, shutting down, going through life on autopilot without genuine feeling or care. The Buddha clarified that this numbness is not liberation, it is a form of avoidance. True peace includes the capacity to care deeply about life while remaining inwardly unshaken. Attachment is the tendency to cling so tightly to people, outcomes, possessions, or identities that you suffer immensely when they inevitably change, and all things change. Aversion is the equal and opposite tendency to expend enormous energy pushing away what you dislike, often creating as much suffering in the resistance as in the disliked thing itself. The middle way, the Buddha's central path, navigates skillfully between these extremes. You learn to care without clinging. You develop preferences without being emotionally destroyed when they are not met. You engage fully with life without being imprisoned by it. Practice wishing for this balanced wisdom for yourself. May I not fall into a state of indifference, nor be caught in the extremes of attachment and aversion. Feel the serene wisdom of the middle path. May I not fall into a state of indifference, nor be caught in the extremes of attachment and aversion. Woven integrally into this practice of directing loving kindness is another essential teaching, the Buddha's instructions on right diligence. Think of your mind not as a fixed entity, but as a garden. Some seeds in this garden, when watered, produce beautiful flowers and nourishing fruit. These are the wholesome mental states: compassion, sympathetic joy, patience, generosity, wisdom. Other seeds, when watered, produce aggressive weeds that choke out everything else. These are the unwholesome states: hatred, greed, delusion, envy, ill will. The Buddha gave 4 clear practices for tending this mental garden skillfully. First, for the wholesome seeds that haven't sprouted yet, your duty is to water them. If you have a latent capacity for courage that lies dormant, create conditions for it to emerge. If you have seeds of generosity that are buried, look for small, manageable ways to practice giving. Don't wait for these beautiful qualities to spontaneously manifest, actively cultivate them. Second, for the wholesome seeds that are already growing, the moments of patience, the flashes of compassion, the choices for wisdom, your duty is to keep them alive. When you notice yourself being patient, acknowledge it inwardly. When compassion arises, appreciate it. When you choose a wise response over a reactive one, mentally celebrate that choice. What you pay mindful attention to grows stronger in your psychological ecosystem. Third, for the unwholesome seeds that are currently sleeping, the capacities for violence, cruelty, or despair that everyone possesses, your duty is to let them sleep. You do not need to water them. This is where the teaching on careful consumption becomes vital. Be mindful about what media you ingest, what conversations you fuel, what thoughts you rehearse mentally. If a particular activity or input consistently waters your seeds of fear, anger, or addictive craving, have the wisdom to limit or stop that consumption. Fourth, for the unwholesome seeds that have already sprouted, when anger, jealousy, or harsh self-criticism has already arisen, your duty is to recognize it and change the CD. This is what Matteo learned to do with his ingrained self-hatred. When that familiar, critical inner voice would launch into its litany, he practiced stopping it midstream, and intentionally, gently inviting in a different voice, the voice of his loving-kindness practice. It was like switching from a channel playing harsh, grating music to one playing gentle, soothing music. He couldn't always prevent the unwholesome seeds from arising, that is not the goal. But he gained the skill to stop feeding them once they appeared, to change the channel of his attention. Let us now integrate all of these elements into a complete, guided loving-kindness meditation for yourself. Find a comfortable, supported position. You may close your eyes if that feels safe and helps you focus inward. Take 3 slow, deep breaths, releasing any obvious tension with each exhale. Now, with soft, full attention, repeat these phrases silently in your mind. Allow each phrase to sink into your awareness like a gentle, soaking rain into parched soil. May I be peaceful and light in body and mind. May I be safe and free from inner and outer harm. May I be free from anger, states of mind that cause suffering, and unnecessary worries. May I know how to look at myself with the eyes of understanding and compassion. May I be able to recognize and touch the seeds of joy and happiness already in myself. May I learn how to nourish myself with joy each day. May I be able to live fresh, solid, and free. May I not fall into a state of indifference, nor be caught in the extremes of attachment and aversion. Take one more deep, cleansing breath. And when you feel ready, gently allow your eyes to open if they were closed. You have just performed a quietly revolutionary act. You have offered yourself the quality of loving kindness you may have been waiting, sometimes desperately, for someone else to give you. You have planted potent seeds in the garden of your heart that will grow stronger, more resilient, each and every time you return faithfully to this practice. Matteo practiced these 8 phrases every single morning for 3 months. One ordinary day, he found himself pausing in front of the bathroom mirror after brushing his teeth. He met his own eyes in the glass and held the gaze. What he saw reflected back was not perfection. He saw a man who was tired, a man who was aging, a man who carried visible regrets in the lines of his face. But he also saw someone who was sincerely trying, someone who was practicing, someone who was, against all his previous beliefs, inherently worthy of his own compassion. And for the first time in decades, he smiled at himself. Not a performed, superficial smile for a photograph, but a genuine, gentle expression of friendliness toward the person looking back at him. That is the fundamental gift day one offers you, the tangible possibility of becoming your own faithful friend instead of your own relentless enemy. Tomorrow, in our continuation, we will expand this circle of loving kindness outward, to embrace those you hold dear. But for today, this first day is exclusively, sacredly for you. It is dedicated to the revolutionary, countercultural act of offering yourself what you have always deserved: peace, safety, freedom from unnecessary suffering, your own understanding gaze, your own compassionate heart. Rest in that realization for now. When you feel ready, we will move forward together into day 2, where the energy of love expands gracefully from one to many. There was a couple living in the historic, music-filled city of New Orleans. Lena and Ben had built a life together over 7 years, a life filled with the vibrant sounds of jazz from nearby clubs, the scent of magnolias and coffee, and the shared rhythms of a city that pulsed with life. Yet, somewhere along the way, amidst the very richness of their external world, they had slowly, almost imperceptibly, become strangers to one another. This was not the result of any dramatic betrayal or explosive argument. It was the gradual, silent erosion that occurs when two people, through sheer busyness and familiarity, stop genuinely seeing each other. They still routinely said, "I love you," at the end of phone calls. They still shared a bed, managed joint finances, and made weekend plans. But the connective tissue of curiosity had frayed. They had stopped looking into each other's eyes with the intent to discover something new. They had replaced real questions with ritualistic ones and had ceased waiting for, or even expecting, authentic answers. They knew each other's daily schedules and dietary preferences but had lost touch with each other's evolving dreams, private fears, and inner weather. Lena's moment of painful clarity arrived one humid evening. Ben came home from work visibly stressed, his shoulders tight, his expression closed. She asked, "How was your day?" Out of ingrained habit, her hand already reaching for her phone to check notifications. He replied with the standard, "Fine," and walked past her into the bedroom, closing the door. In that suspended moment, Lena experienced a flash of lucid understanding. Neither participant in that brief exchange had told the truth. His day had clearly not been fine. She could read the tension in his posture, the tightness around his mouth. And she, in that moment, had not truly wanted to know about his day. She had merely been performing the empty ritual of concern without the substantive willingness to listen. That night, sleep eluded her. Lying awake beside his sleeping form, she was flooded with a paradoxical realization. She loved this man deeply, yet she had recently shown that love in the most minimal, passive ways. Her love had become a background assumption, like the gravity holding them to the earth, rather than an active, daily practice of attention and care. She had unconsciously stopped tending to the emotional garden they had planted together, as if love could survive on autopilot, without watering, without weeding, without the daily, conscious choice to truly see and be seen. This is the strange, painful paradox of intimate, long-term relationships. We often inadvertently hurt the ones we love most, not through malice, but through a slow accretion of forgetting. Forgetting to pause and offer undivided listening. Forgetting to ask the deeper questions that begin with, "How do you feel about?" rather than, "What did you do about?" Forgetting that our beloved ones are independent centers of consciousness who suffer, struggle, and carry invisible weights we stop seeing because we have stopped looking with fresh eyes. The Buddha identified this forgetting not as a minor oversight, but as a specific, potent form of suffering, the suffering of neglect, of distance, of taking for granted. And so, Day 2 of beginning anew is fundamentally about remembering. It is about taking the same quality of loving attention you courageously offered to yourself on Day 1 and consciously, deliberately extending it outward to those individuals whose happiness is intimately intertwined with your own. But before we practice directing the formal phrases of loving kindness toward our beloved ones, we must prepare the ground. We need to engage in the practice of looking deeply, to clear away the assumptions and habits that cloud our vision, so we can see them clearly again. The first preparation practice is simple in concept but profound in its effects. Find a quiet moment to sit. Close your eyes if it helps. Bring to mind, with as much clarity as you can, someone you love easily and genuinely. For this initial practice, choose someone with whom your relationship is fundamentally positive, not complicated by major unresolved conflict. This could be a partner, a parent, a child, a sibling, or a very close friend, someone whose well-being genuinely matters to you, whose joy brings you joy. Now, with their image or felt sense in your awareness, ask yourself with fresh curiosity, what do I actually know about their inner life right now, in this current chapter? Not about their schedule, their responsibilities, or their to-do list, but about their subjective, interior world. What specific, small things are currently bringing them genuine sparks of joy or interest? What quiet worries might be keeping them awake at night? What dreams or aspirations have they perhaps set aside, postponed, or forgotten to mention? What small, unexpected act of kindness would feel like a profound gift to them in this moment? When Lena sat with these questions about Ben, she was startled to realize how much she had been operating on assumptions and outdated information. She assumed he was fine because he said he was fine. She assumed his emotional needs were being met because he hadn't explicitly complained. But when she looked deeply, past the surface of their routines, she began to see someone who was experiencing loneliness even within their shared home. Someone who had gradually stopped sharing his professional struggles and creative frustrations because her preoccupied demeanor had silently communicated she didn't have the emotional space to hold them. This leads directly into the second preparation practice, looking for the roots of suffering in your beloved one. This is a practice of compassionate investigation. Every single person suffers. This includes the people who appear to have everything together, who smile brightly and assure everyone they are great. But we cannot help alleviate or transform suffering we do not acknowledge or understand. The Buddha taught that suffering, dukkha, never arises without causes and conditions. It has discernible roots. Perhaps your beloved one carries the invisible residue of a difficult childhood that shapes how they handle conflict or criticism. Maybe they are bearing a grief they have never fully processed, the loss of a parent, a friend, an old version of themselves. Maybe they feel chronically invisible, underappreciated, or taken for granted in their various roles. Maybe they harbor a private fear, of failure, of abandonment, of not being enough, that they have never named aloud, even to themselves. When you look deeply at someone you love with the sincere intention to understand rather than to judge or fix, you begin to perceive these hidden roots. And this act of seeing changes everything. Compassion ceases to be a theoretical virtue and becomes a natural, organic response. Empathy flows not because you should feel it, but because you genuinely do see their struggle. The third preparation practice moves from understanding to actionable care. How can I genuinely help and support them in the coming days or weeks? The key here is that the question is not, how can I fix them, or how can I make them more like I want them to be? It is a sincere inquiry. What would genuinely support their well-being? What would help them flourish? What do they need that I am capable of offering? Sometimes the answer is practical and tangible. Taking over a chore that burdens them, creating a window of uninterrupted time for them to rest, surprising them with a small item they've mentioned wanting. Sometimes the support is emotional and relational, committing to listening more deeply without immediately offering advice, verbally acknowledging their efforts and contributions more specifically, expressing appreciation for their unique qualities. Sometimes the most powerful support is the gift of pure, undivided presence. Being truly with them, mentally and emotionally, instead of merely being physically proximate while your attention is elsewhere. After her night of reckoning, Lena made a simple list. It included: 1. Put my phone in another room during dinner. 2. Ask about his music compositions, his long-neglected passion, and listen to his answers without multitasking. 3. Initiate affectionate, non-demanding touch, a hand on his shoulder, a hug, without it needing to lead anywhere. 4. Tell him one specific thing I appreciated about him each day, moving beyond the automatic "I love you." These were not grand, sweeping gestures. They were specific, manageable, and therefore revolutionary in their potential to rebuild connection. Now we arrive at the fourth preparation practice, which requires significant courage and vulnerability. You must ask yourself, do I have a habit energy, an unconscious, automatic pattern, that causes them unhappiness or pain? We all possess these habit energies. They are the behavioral and emotional autopilot programs we fall into when tired, stressed, defensive, or triggered. They are the tone of voice we use that lands like a small cut, even though we didn't mean it that way. They are the ways we withdraw into cold silence, become irritable over minor things, or offer criticism disguised as help. They are the patterns of which we are often blissfully unaware, but which our loved ones experience acutely. When Lena asked herself this question with ruthless honesty, her answer came immediately. When she felt overwhelmed by her own workload or anxieties, she would become sharp, dismissive, and intellectually condescending. She would cut Ben's sentences short, wave away his concerns as if they were trivial, and make him feel, through her tense body language and impatient sighs, that his very presence was an interruption. She had never consciously intended to hurt him. But she had done so repeatedly through this unconscious, reactive pattern. Here is the brave, transformative step. If your relationship currently has the safety and trust to support it, you can actually ask your beloved one this question directly. The inquiry must be framed with genuine openness, not defensiveness. It cannot be asked while simultaneously explaining why you have this habit. It is not an immediate apology followed by a promise to change. It is a pure, vulnerable question. My love, do I have a habit, a way of being, that makes you unhappy or causes you pain? Please tell me, so I can become more aware of it, so I can bring mindfulness to it and work to change it. This single question, asked with authentic humility and care, has the power to transform a relationship at its foundation. It communicates, your actual experience of me matters more than my self-image. I am willing to see my blind spots. I care enough about your happiness to work on changing my unconscious behaviors. For some of you, this level of direct inquiry may feel too vulnerable or risky at this moment. That is completely okay. You can begin by practicing this internally, becoming a detective of your own patterns, noticing them in action without yet seeking external confirmation. Another profoundly powerful practice is writing a letter to your beloved one that you may or may not ever send. The act of writing itself is the primary practice. It forces clarity, helps unearth feelings you've been holding back, and gives form to what needs to be said. You might write, "I've been realizing lately how much I've taken your steady presence for granted. I see now all the small, loving things you do that I don't acknowledge. I want you to know that I notice, that I am grateful, and that your presence in my life is a gift I've forgotten to unwrap with proper attention." Or, "I am sorry for the ways I've been distant lately. I've been so caught in the cyclone of my own stress and thoughts that I haven't made proper space for yours. I am actively practicing coming back, being more present, remembering that we are partners navigating this complex life together." Or, with beautiful simplicity, "I love you, and I want to learn to love you better. Can you tell me what that might look like for you? What do you need from me that you're not currently receiving? I am listening now, in a way I fear I haven't been for some time." Lena wrote her letter late that same sleepless night, tears blurring the ink on the page. She did not send it as an email the next morning. Instead, she waited for a quiet evening, sat down with Ben, her heart pounding, and read it aloud to him, her voice trembling but clear. Now, let us move into the core meditation practice for day 2, the loving kindness meditation directed toward your beloved one. The structure mirrors the practice you engaged in for yourself, but pay close attention to the subtle yet significant shifts in feeling and intention when you change the pronoun from I to you, or he, she/they. Notice what it feels like to hold another person in the center of your awareness with this same tender, benevolent wish for their well-being. Bring your chosen beloved one clearly into your mind's eye. See their face, remember the sound of their voice or their laugh, feel the authentic affection or love you hold for them in your heart. Now, silently, with focused intention, offer these phrases to them. May you be peaceful and light in body and mind. Feel what you are genuinely wishing for them. That their shoulders would soften, that the knot of worry in their stomach would dissolve, that their mind would find quiet amidst its busyness, that they would feel a sense of ease inhabiting their physical form and clarity in their thoughts. May you be safe and free from inner and outer harm. Wish them protection, from physical danger, from their own self-destructive patterns, from the harshness of the world, and from the critical voice they may direct at themselves. May you be free from anger, states of mind that cause suffering, and unnecessary worries. You know the visceral weight of these states from your own practice on day 1. Now, wish your beloved one freedom from that same heavy burden. May you know how to look at yourself with the eyes of understanding and compassion. This may be the most powerful wish you can offer another person. It is the wish that they would treat themselves with the same kindness you wish you could give them, that they would become their own best friend. May you be able to recognize and touch the seeds of joy and happiness already in you. Wish them the capacity to see their own inherent goodness, their strengths, their unique beauty, their own indestructible seed body. May you learn how to nourish yourself with joy each day. This is a wish for their empowerment and self-sufficiency in happiness. You wish for them not to be dependent on you or others for joy, but to know how to cultivate it within their own daily life. May you be able to live fresh, solid, and free. Wish them resilience in the face of change, inner stability during storms, and liberation from whatever invisible prisons, of fear, obligation, or old stories, might confine them. May you not fall into a state of indifference, nor be caught in the extremes of attachment and aversion. Wish them the balanced wisdom of the middle way in their own life, to care deeply without clinging, to engage fully without being consumed. Lena practiced this specific meditation for Ben every morning for a week before she found the courage to initiate a deeper conversation. And something unexpected began to happen in the interstices of her days. She started noticing him differently. She became aware of small, loving actions she had long filtered out, the way he always poured coffee for both of them in the morning, even when he was rushing, the way he'd text from the grocery store to ask if she needed anything specific, the way he would squeeze her hand 3 times during a television show, their old, silly code for, "I love you," a gesture she had stopped consciously registering. Practicing loving kindness for him systematically opened her perceptual channels to receive the love he was already, quietly, consistently offering, love she had been too distracted or self-absorbed to truly receive. This shift in perception naturally leads to what some traditions call the 5 mantras for nourishing relationships. These are simple, potent phrases you can practice saying aloud to bridge distances and deepen connection. They are not complicated, but they require presence to be genuine. The first mantra is, "Darling, I am here for you." This is not merely a statement of physical proximity. It is a pledge of full, undivided attention. It means putting down your phone, turning your body toward them, making soft eye contact, and offering the invaluable gift of your complete, non-distracted awareness. The second mantra is, "Darling, I am happy you are here." This is the practice of active recognition and appreciation. It is seeing them, truly seeing them, and acknowledging that their mere presence in your shared space is a source of your happiness. It counteracts taking each other for granted. The third mantra is, "Darling, I see you are suffering. I am here with you." This is the essence of empathetic presence without an agenda to fix. It is witnessing their pain, holding space for it, and simply being a compassionate companion in their difficulty. It says, "You are not alone in this." The fourth mantra requires vulnerability, "Darling, I am suffering. Can you help me?" This is the courage to be honest about your own struggle instead of pretending everything is fine or expecting them to magically intuit your needs. It is an invitation for them to step toward you, to share the burden, to connect through mutual vulnerability. The fifth mantra brings us full circle to our foundational practice, "Darling, this is a happy moment." This is the shared application of day one's core insight. It is the mutual capacity to pause together, amidst whatever chaos or ordinariness, and jointly recognize the goodness, the connection, the simple gift of being alive together in that specific instant. One evening, not long after she began her practice, Lena came home to find Ben cooking dinner. Instead of her usual routine of dropping her bag, checking her phone, and asking a distracted question, she stopped. She walked up behind him at the stove, placed a gentle hand on his shoulder, and said quietly, "Darling, I am happy you are here." He turned, surprise softening his features, and after a moment, he replied softly, "I've missed you." "I've been right here the whole time," she said, meaning it differently now. "I know," he replied, his eyes holding hers. "But you haven't been here." That brief exchange was the bridge. It was not a dramatic declaration or a sweeping romantic gesture. It was a moment of genuine, present connection that began to close the distance they had both passively allowed to grow. So, how do you practically engage with day 2 today, before this segment of our practice closes? If your beloved one is physically accessible, choose one small thing to do differently, with full consciousness. If you usually give a quick, perfunctory kiss goodbye, pause for 5 full seconds of actual, feeling presence during that kiss. If you usually ask, "How was your day?" while starting to unload the dishwasher, stop completely, put everything down, make gentle eye contact, and wait for the real answer without interrupting. If you usually keep your appreciations locked in your head, voice one out loud, be specific. "I really appreciated how you handled that stressful call earlier, your calmness helped me calm down too." If they are not physically near you, you can still practice. Send them a message that is purely connective, not logistical. "I was just thinking about you and wanted you to know I'm genuinely grateful you're in my life." Or call them, not to discuss plans or solve a problem, but just to hear their voice, to ask one real, open-ended question, to offer the gift of your full auditory attention. If direct contact feels too vulnerable or charged right now, simply sit quietly and perform the loving-kindness meditation for them, sending that silent energy of well-wishing toward them. Let that practice change how you hold them in your heart, which will inevitably change how you interact with them when you next meet. The couple in New Orleans, Lena and Ben, did not transform their relationship overnight into a perpetual state of romantic bliss. But Lena kept practicing, the daily morning meditation for Ben, the intentional presence during conversations, the active choice to see him clearly rather than through the fog of her own assumptions and preoccupations. Ben, sensing this shift in her energy, a shift from distracted preoccupation to available presence, began, slowly, to meet her halfway. He started asking his own deeper questions, offering his own undivided attention in return. About 6 months into this intentional practice, they found themselves sitting together on their weathered porch swing on a warm evening, listening to the distant sounds of the city, existing in a comfortable, connected silence. "We're not perfect," Lena said suddenly, voicing the thought. "We still have hard days, frustrating days." She paused. "But we're not strangers anymore. We're learning how to be truly with each other again." Ben nodded, reaching for her hand and giving it their signature 3 squeezes. "It feels," he said quietly, "like coming home after a long, confusing trip." Day 2, therefore, is an invitation to come home to your beloved ones. To show up fully. To see them clearly, beyond the projections and habits. To love them actively, attentively, and intentionally, rather than passively and assumedly. This feels natural, doesn't it? This practice of extending compassion to those you already cherish. It feels like opening a window in a stuffy room. But tomorrow, day 3, asks something significantly more challenging of our hearts. Tomorrow, we will practice directing loving kindness toward those who have caused us suffering, toward the people we might prefer to forget, the situations we would rather not revisit, the wounds we have carefully protected, sometimes for years. It is the most advanced level of this practice, and simultaneously, it holds the potential for the most profound, liberating release. For now, rest in the warmth and goodness of today's practice. Let the love you feel for your beloved ones settle into your being, a comforting and steadying presence. Tomorrow, we will discover together whether you feel ready to extend love even wider, beyond the familiar circle of existing affection. This is the practice that, when first described, can sound not just difficult, but perhaps impossible, even objectionable. Day 3, Reconciliation with Difficulty. Let me be unequivocally clear from the very beginning about what this practice is, and crucially, what it is not. This is not about becoming a passive doormat. This is not about pretending that harm did not occur or spiritually bypassing your legitimate, human pain. This is not about letting toxic, abusive people back into your life without boundaries. This is not about excusing cruelty or convincing yourself that everything happens for a reason, in a glib, dismissive way. This practice has a single, focused purpose: your freedom. It is about releasing yourself from the inner prison of resentment, a prison that keeps you psychologically chained to your suffering long after the original causing event has passed. It is about recognizing, on a visceral level, that carrying hatred and bitterness is like knowingly drinking a vial of poison every day, while quietly hoping the other person will somehow get sick and die. The historical Buddha taught this not because he was naive about the depths of human cruelty or injustice. He taught it because, through his own profound investigation, he understood something essential about the mechanics of suffering itself. He saw that anger, hatred, and resentment do not punish the person who harmed you. They punish you. They colonize your mind, sour your present moments, and drain your vital energy. The person you resent may be living their life completely unaware, while you remain trapped in a private hell of your own making. There was a woman named Ji Min who lived in the sprawling, modern city of Seoul. For 37 years, she carried a mountain of cold, hard rage toward her older sister. The reasons were layered: perceived parental favoritism throughout their childhood, cutting remarks about her life choices, a failed joint business venture that left Ji Min feeling financially and emotionally betrayed. In her mid-20s, she made a definitive decision: she cut off all contact. She refused to attend family gatherings where her sister might be present, she blocked her number, and she built an emotional wall so high and thick that nothing, not her sister's few awkward attempts at apology, not their mother's pleading for reconciliation, not even her own children's innocent questions about their aunt, could penetrate it. The rage became part of her identity. It was the fuel she used to propel herself toward a different kind of success. It was the story she told herself about her own strength and independence. This anger protects me, she would think. It keeps me sharp. It reminds me never to let myself be vulnerable like that again. But somewhere in her early 50s, she began to notice subtle, disturbing symptoms. The rage was no longer a contained fuel source, it was a corrosive acid, eating her alive from the inside. She would snap at her kind, patient husband over trivial matters, echoing her sister's own sharp tone from decades past. She would experience panic when her own daughters faced minor social struggles, terrified they would repeat the patterns of sibling estrangement. Certain songs from their youth, the smell of a specific street food their grandmother used to make, these sensory triggers could yank her back into memories that made her whole body clench with fury. Her sister had been physically absent from her life for over 3 decades, yet through the persistent power of unforgiven resentment, she still exerted control over Jimin's daily emotional landscape, her sleep, her peace. A friend who had found solace in Buddhist practice gently suggested she try something that sounded, to Jimin, absurd and offensive, directing loving-kindness meditation toward her sister. Her immediate, visceral response was fresh fury. She doesn't deserve my loving kindness. After what she did. Her friend waited for the storm to pass and then said, with gentle clarity, "It's not for her, Jimin. It's for you. So you can finally be free." The meditation is the key to the prison cell you've been living in. This is the crucial frame we must hold firmly in our minds as we enter the territory of day 3. You are not doing this for the benefit, redemption, or forgiveness of the person who harmed you. You are doing this for your own liberation, to reclaim the life energy currently held hostage by the ongoing, inner drama of resentment. Before we even attempt the formal meditation, there are essential preparation practices. These are not optional steps to skip, they are the necessary groundwork that makes genuine release possible, transforming an impossible-seeming task into a manageable, internal process. The first preparation practice is often the most immediately challenging. Find 5 genuine, positive qualities in the person who hurt you. I must emphasize, this is not about finding excuses for their harmful behavior. It is not about constructing reasons why what they did was okay. It is a simple, factual search for 5 qualities, however small or context-specific, that are authentically positive. Jimin resisted this practice fiercely for weeks. Every time she tried, her mind would instantly flood with vivid, painful memories of specific harms, with the voice of her righteous anger shouting that looking for good qualities was a betrayal of herself and the wounded child she had been. But she persisted. Slowly, reluctantly, like an archaeologist brushing sand from a fragile artifact, she began to see glimmers. Her sister had been fiercely, protectively loyal to her own children. She was an incredibly disciplined and hard worker, having built a successful career from nothing. She possessed a sharp, dry wit that could be genuinely funny. She had shouldered the primary financial responsibility for their aging parents without complaint. And, in a memory Jimin had buried, her sister had loved gardening and could make almost any plant thrive. There had been a gentle, nurturing side to her hands and the soil. These qualities did not erase the harm. They did not transform her sister into a good person in Jimin's historical narrative. But they did something vital. They made her human, complex, a mixture of light and shadow, not a one-dimensional cartoon villain. This recognition is the first crack in the monolithic wall of hatred. It allows you to see the person as a flawed, suffering human being, not as a pure symbol of evil. The second preparation practice goes to the root. Look deeply at the roots of their suffering. This is one of the Buddha's most piercing insights. Happy, peaceful, emotionally whole people do not go around intentionally harming others. People who are not suffering do not need to inflict suffering. Everyone who causes significant harm is, themselves, in a state of significant suffering, ignorance, or confusion. This does not excuse the harm. Understanding is not the same as condoning. But it fundamentally transforms your relationship to the harmful event. It shifts the question from the personal, torturous, "How could they do this to me?" to the more analytical, spacious, "What conditions of pain, ignorance, or fear led them to act in this way?" Jimin began, for the first time, to research her sister's own childhood from an adult perspective, asking elderly relatives questions she had never before considered. What she uncovered did not justify her sister's behavior toward her, but it illuminated it with a stark, tragic light. Her sister, as the eldest, had borne the brunt of their father's volatile temper and their mother's chronic depression. She had grown up in a context of severe emotional scarcity, where affection was a currency for good behavior. She had been parentified as a teenager, made responsible for Jimin's care, breeding a complex mix of resentment and overbearing control. She had learned that vulnerability was dangerous and that maintaining a facade of tough, unassailable competence was the only way to survive. None of this made her childhood cruelties or adult betrayal acceptable. But it answered the haunting, looping question, how could she, with a tragic, human answer? It shifted from, how could someone be so cruel, to, I now see how someone, shaped by this specific pain, lacking these specific tools, and inheriting these specific patterns, could end up repeating the cycles of harm. This shift is revolutionary. It removes the event slightly from the purely personal realm and places it within the wider, tragic flow of conditioned suffering passed through families and generations. The third preparation practice is perhaps the most humbling and uncomfortable. See your own humanity in theirs. This is not seeing yourself in their harmful actions. It is recognizing in them the universal human struggles you also share. The capacity for fear, for pain, for feelings of inadequacy, for the desperate desire to escape suffering, even through destructive means. We all possess, in potential, the capacity to cause harm when we are drowning in our own unprocessed hurt, when we are blinded by fear or seized by delusion. Given a specific, painful enough set of conditions, enough trauma, enough lack of support or wisdom, any human being could act in ways they would later profoundly regret. This does not mean we are all equally responsible for all harm in the world. It means we share a common, flawed humanity. This recognition makes pure, unadulterated hatred ultimately impossible to sustain. You cannot completely demonize someone whose core struggles with fear, pain, and confusion you recognize, in different forms, within yourself. Jimin realized she had been running from this recognition her entire adult life. If she acknowledged her sister's complex humanity, she would have to acknowledge her own capacity to cause harm. She remembered times in her own motherhood when, exhausted and overwhelmed, she had spoken harshly to her daughters. She recalled cutting remarks she had made to her husband in moments of anger. She saw her own tendencies to withdraw love as a form of punishment when she felt hurt. She was not like her sister in the specifics, but she was not a saint either. This recognition was deeply uncomfortable, yet it was also strangely healing. It dissolved the illusion of her own perfect innocence and her sister's perfect evil, replacing it with the messy, relatable reality of two wounded people interacting, one causing more visible harm than the other. Let me share another story, from a different context. There was a dedicated yoga teacher named Leo who, in his early 20s, survived a period of severe psychological manipulation and emotional abuse from his own, much-revered guru. This teacher spoke publicly of enlightenment and compassion but privately employed cruelty, humiliation, and control. Leo carried deep shame and confusion for years. How could someone who taught such beautiful wisdom be so harmful in private? Decades later, after his own healing and much study, Leo began to see the likely pattern. His guru had almost certainly been subjected to even worse abuse within his own lineage of training, taught to equate harshness with necessary discipline, cruelty with a form of spiritual, tough love, and never given the tools or safety to address his own profound trauma. The cycle of harm, disguised as sacred teaching, was simply being passed down, generation to generation. Understanding this did not make the abuse Leo experienced acceptable or okay. But it freed him from personalizing it, from carrying the shame that it was about his own unworthiness. The harm was about his teacher's unhealed suffering and distorted conditioning, not about Leo's intrinsic deficiency. This understanding was a key that unlocked a prison door. Now, after these three preparation practices, finding good qualities, understanding roots of suffering, and seeing shared humanity, we approach the threshold of the actual loving-kindness meditation directed toward someone who has caused us suffering. But first, a critical and non-negotiable disclaimer. This practice might be too soon for you, and that is wisdom, not failure. If you are currently in an actively harmful, unsafe situation, emotionally, physically, psychologically, your absolute first responsibility is to ensure your safety and well-being, not to engage in advanced spiritual practice. If the wound is exceptionally fresh and raw, if you are still in the acute stages of processing trauma, if attempting this meditation feels like a violation of your own boundaries or a re-traumatization, honor that feeling. There is no virtue, no spiritual points, in forcing yourself into forgiveness or loving kindness before you have established your own secure foundation. That forced effort is just another form of self-harm. Sometimes, the most appropriate and compassionate form of this practice is, "May you be at peace, far away from me." This is still a legitimate loving-kindness practice. You are wishing them well, or at least, not wishing them ill, while simultaneously maintaining wise, firm boundaries that protect your own precious peace. You are releasing the toxic energy of hatred without requiring yourself to reconcile, reconnect, or condone. The Buddha taught boundless compassion, but he equally taught penetrating wisdom, prajna. Wisdom knows when distance is the most compassionate choice for all involved. Wisdom knows that strong boundaries are an act of love, for yourself, and sometimes, for the other person as well. Safety first. Always. For those who feel they have done the preparatory work and are internally resourced and ready, let us practice together. Bring to mind someone who has caused you pain. I advise you not to start with the person who hurt you most severely in your life. Choose someone where the resentment is real and present, but not overwhelmingly traumatic, a moderate case, so to speak. See them in your mind not as a caricatured villain, but as that complex human being you came to understand through the preparation, a person who caused harm while simultaneously suffering themselves. Take a deep breath and reaffirm your intention. This practice is for my freedom, for my liberation from this burden. It is not for their benefit. Now, slowly, offer these phrases. Notice what arises: resistance, anger, protest, and breathe with it. Let the feelings be present without letting them stop the intention. May you be peaceful and light in body and mind. Notice any voice that says, they don't deserve peace. That's normal. You are not wishing them peace because they earned it. You are wishing them the inner peace that might have prevented them from causing harm in the first place. You are wishing for the condition that would have made their harmful actions unnecessary. May you be safe and free from inner and outer harm. This includes the harm of continuing to cause suffering to others through their own unhealed pain. You are wishing them safety from the conditions that turn people into sources of harm. May you be free from anger, states of mind that cause suffering, and unnecessary worries. These are the very mental states that likely fueled their harmful actions toward you. Wishing them freedom from these states is, in essence, wishing that the version of them that hurt you had not existed. May you know how to look at yourself with the eyes of understanding and compassion. Perhaps if they had possessed this skill, they would not have needed to project their pain onto you. Perhaps if they could develop it now, the cycle of harm would end with them. May you be able to recognize and touch the seeds of joy and happiness already in you. Happy, fulfilled people do not need to diminish or harm others. This is a wish that they find authentic sources of joy that do not come at the expense of another's well-being. May you learn how to nourish yourself with joy each day. This is a wish that they learn to fill their own inner emptiness in healthy, nourishing ways, instead of through patterns of control, manipulation, or causing pain. May you be able to live fresh, solid, and free. Free from the very compulsions, fears, or inherited patterns that drove them to cause you suffering. This is a wish for their liberation from the prison of their own conditioning, which would also mean liberation for those around them. May you not fall into a state of indifference, nor be caught in the extremes of attachment and aversion. May they find the balanced middle way, where they can relate to the world without the desperate clinging or violent pushing away that likely characterized their harmful behavior. Ji-min practiced this meditation for her sister privately, every day, for 6 months. She never told a soul she was doing it. She did not contact her sister, who was still alive but distant. This was entirely internal alchemy, a private transformation happening in the quiet laboratory of her own heart. And slowly, incrementally, something extraordinary began to occur. The mountain of rage that had defined her psyche for half a lifetime began to erode, grain by grain. Not all at once. Not completely. But sufficiently that she could breathe more freely. Sufficiently that memories of her childhood no longer had the power to hijack her entire afternoon. Sufficiently that she could see a photograph of her sister without her body instantly flooding with stress hormones. She did not suddenly become grateful for the abuse or decide it was a gift. She still deeply wished it had never happened. She still grieved the supportive, loving sister relationship she had never had. But she was, for the first time, free. Free from the self-made prison of hatred. Free from being psychologically controlled by someone who had been absent for decades. Free to remember the few good moments alongside the many bad ones, to hold the painful complexity of it all without being crushed by it. She described the feeling to her friend as, "It's like I've been carrying a boulder on my back for 37 years, and I have finally, found a way to set it down. My back is sore, but I can stand up straight. I can see the horizon again." The Buddha used a different, unforgettable metaphor. He said, "Holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned." The practice of directing loving kindness toward those who have harmed you is not about handing them the coal. It is about the miraculous, gentle act of opening your own scorched hand and letting the coal fall away. It is about stopping the burning of your own skin. Now, what comes after these 3 intensive days of practice? You do not simply return to business as usual, checking spiritual work off a list. These 3 days are designed to launch a new, sustainable way of being. Day 1 taught you to be a friend to yourself, to direct loving kindness inward as a daily hygiene for the soul. This becomes a touchstone practice, morning or evening, even for a few minutes, returning to those phrases, faithfully watering the seeds of self-compassion. Day 2 taught you to love your beloved ones actively, to see them clearly, to tend your relationships with intention. This becomes how you move through your shared life, pausing to truly listen, speaking appreciation aloud, asking real questions, waiting for real answers. Day 3 taught you that freedom from the prison of resentment is possible, that you can release the burden of hatred without condoning the harm. This becomes your new internal toolkit for handling future hurts. Meeting them with understanding of conditioned suffering rather than pure reactivity, with wisdom about cycles of pain, with compassion even for those who cause it, all while maintaining wise boundaries. Together, these 3 days form one complete cycle of beginning anew. It is not a ritual exclusive to the New Year holiday, but a portable toolkit for any time you feel stuck, disconnected, or burdened by the weight of past injuries. Ji-min, the woman with the impossible sister, eventually reached out to her other siblings, people she had avoided because they reminded her of the family pain. From them, she learned about her sister's later years, her struggles with illness, her expressed regrets, her few, clumsy attempts to make amends that Ji-min had never known about because she had shut the door so completely. Ji-min did not regret protecting herself with distance when she needed to, but she was grateful she had eventually found a way to release the hatred that was consuming her. One of her siblings said something that stayed with her forever, "You know, in the end, she died alone and pretty sad." But you've been living alone and sad because of her for decades, and you're still alive. You had a choice she never figured out. The choice to heal. That is the ultimate offering of these 3 days. The choice to heal. Not because you are obligated to forgive. Not because it's the spiritual thing to do. But because you deserve to be free. Free from the invisible weight you've been carrying. Free from the resentments that drain your life force and color your world gray. Free from being eternally defined by what was done to you. Free to write a new story about who you are and what is possible from this moment forward. Beginning anew, in its deepest sense, is not about erasing the past. It is about courageously refusing to let the past dictate and erase your future. The truly revolutionary act is not necessarily forgiving those who hurt you. The revolutionary act is choosing your own freedom over the addictive heat of your own righteous anger. It is recognizing that you deserve peace more than they deserve your perpetual hatred. Rest in this understanding for now. You have journeyed through 3 profound layers of practice, from the hardest person to love, yourself. Through the natural expansion to those you already cherish, all the way to the ultimate liberation of releasing resentment. This is the complete arc of beginning anew. And now, we are ready to explore one final, grounding practice that roots all of this work in the earth beneath your feet, connecting you to a web of relationships far vaster than your personal story, the practice of touching the earth. There is something that happens when you bring your full, physical body into your spiritual practice, something that words and thoughts alone cannot accomplish. For 3 days, we have worked primarily with the mind, directing intention, cultivating loving kindness, transforming relationships through awareness and compassion. This work is essential. Yet, the Buddha, in his profound wisdom, understood that we are not disembodied minds floating in space. We are incarnated beings. We carry our histories in our muscle tissue, our grief in the set of our shoulders, our unfelt emotions in the tension of our jaws. Sometimes, the cognitive mind cannot release what the somatic, feeling body is still stubbornly holding. This is where touching the earth becomes a vital completion. It is a practice of bringing your whole physical form into conscious contact with the ground that supports you, as a way of literally and metaphorically releasing what you have been carrying, reconnecting with your fundamental support system, and acknowledging your humble, beautiful place in the vast, interconnected web of life that holds you, even in moments when you feel utterly alone. In its most traditional form, practiced in some Asian monasteries, touching the earth involves full prostrations, lying face down on the ground with arms extended forward, forehead touching the earth. But this practice, in its essence, is infinitely adaptable to every body and circumstance. You can kneel and touch your forehead to the floor or a cushion. You can sit in a chair and bend forward, letting your hands rest on your knees or reach toward the ground. You can stand and bow deeply from the waist. You can simply sit quietly with your palms pressed together at your heart and your head bowed in a gesture of gratitude and humility. The form matters far less than the sincere internal gesture, the willingness to humble yourself, to acknowledge your dependence and connection, to physically embody the release and reconnection you have been cultivating mentally. I will share a story about a woman named Celia, who had spent years in traditional talk therapy processing her intensely ambivalent relationship with her late grandmother. She had analyzed the memories, understood the family dynamics intellectually, and could articulate why her grandmother's death had left such a gaping, confused hole in her life. Yet, she still felt the loss as a raw, open wound. She still found herself crying unexpectedly at the smell of rosewater, her grandmother's perfume. A friend invited her to a mindfulness retreat where they practiced touching the earth. The first touching was dedicated to ancestors. As Celia slowly lowered her body to the wooden floor of the meditation hall, something broke open inside her. Lying there, with her whole body surrendered to gravity, she suddenly felt, with shocking vividness, the sensation of her grandmother's strong, wrinkled hands on her back. Not a literal, physical touch, but a memory so somatic and immediate it felt real. Her grandmother's hands, which had kneaded dough for their weekly bread, which had held her during childhood thunderstorms, which had guided her small fingers as she learned to sew. What years of cognitive therapy could not quite reach, her body released in that moment of grounded surrender. Lying on the earth, she understood in her bones what her mind had been struggling to grasp: her grandmother was not gone. She lived on in Celia's own hands, in her gestures, in the way she comforted her children, in her love for baking. The connection had not been severed by death, it had only changed its form, woven back into the fabric of her being. This is the first of what we will expand into 8 touchings, a practice of grounding in gratitude. We will move through them one by one. The first touching, connecting with ancestors. This includes both your blood ancestors and your spiritual ancestors. Your ancestors are not just the grandparents or great-grandparents you may have known. They are the long, unbroken chain of humans who survived plagues, wars, migrations, and unimaginable hardships so that you could have the gift of this life, this breath, at this moment in history. They are also the spiritual teachers, like the Buddha, like the countless unnamed monks, nuns, and practitioners, whose wisdom was preserved, translated, and transmitted across centuries and continents so that it could reach you, here, now. When you touch the earth to honor ancestors, you acknowledge, I did not arrive here alone. I stand on the shoulders of giants. I am the recipient of an immense inheritance of struggle, love, perseverance, and wisdom. The second touching, honoring the land where you live. There is a story of a man named David who moved from a rural village in Kenya to a massive, anonymous city in Europe for work. For 2 years, he felt profoundly displaced, unrooted, and homesick for a landscape and a rhythm of life he could not return to. One evening, feeling especially alienated, he sat down on a small patch of grass in a public park, defeated. He let his hands sink into the cool soil. He felt the solid, unquestioning support of the earth. And a thought arose. This ground was here long before this city was built. Long before these national borders were drawn. Long before the concept of foreigner even existed. This earth does not care about my passport. It holds me the same way it held the indigenous peoples of this land for millennia, the same way it will hold whoever comes after me. He began a simple practice. Each evening, he would place his palms on the ground, in the park, by a tree, even on his apartment balcony with a pot of soil. And silently say, "Thank you. Thank you for holding me. Thank you for growing the food that nourishes me. Thank you for being stable when my mind feels unstable." Within months, his feeling of displacement transformed into a new sense of belonging, not to the city, but to the planet itself, to the earth that is home everywhere. When you touch the earth for the land, you acknowledge you are literally, physically held. Gravity is a constant, loving embrace. You are supported, whether you remember to feel it or not. The third touching, gratitude for those who make your present life possible. A meditation teacher once had her students perform a powerful exercise before this touching. She asked them to list, "Who made your today possible?" They started with the obvious: parents, teachers, bus drivers. Then they went deeper. The farmers in distant states or countries who grew their breakfast grains and fruits. The truck drivers who transported it. The warehouse workers, the grocery store stockers, the cashiers. The engineers who designed the water purification systems and electrical grids. The sanitation workers who remove waste. The countless inventors, scientists, and laborers whose often invisible, underpaid work forms the unimaginably complex infrastructure of modern life. By the time they finished, everyone was in a state of awe, humbled by the sheer number of human beings, thousands, perhaps millions, whose efforts contributed to the possibility of their single, ordinary day. When you touch the earth for this, you acknowledge, "I am supported by a vast web of fellow humans I will never meet, never thank in person. My life is a collective achievement. I bow in humility and gratitude." The fourth touching, appreciation for your teachers and guides. This extends beyond formal instructors. It is for anyone who has pointed you toward light, wisdom, or kindness. A schoolteacher who believed in you. A friend who listened when you were broken. An author whose book changed your perspective. A therapist who offered a mirror. The historical figures whose courage inspires you. When you touch the earth for teachers, you acknowledge, "I am not self-made. I have received light from others, and I commit to passing it on." The fifth touching, for your beloved ones. This one, from day 2, now finds a physical expression. It feels natural because we know we are grateful for these people. But embodying that gratitude, literally bowing to the earth in acknowledgement of how much they mean, has a unique power. A father practiced this touching while thinking of his teenage daughter. He'd become so entangled in the logistics of parenting, schedules, homework, discipline, that he'd lost the overwhelming gratitude he felt when she was born. Lying on his living room floor, bringing her face to mind, he remembered. This incredible being chose to come into my life. She trusts me to guide her. Her laugh is still the best sound I know. When he got up, he went to her room, where she was doing homework. He didn't say anything, just stood in the doorway and watched her for a moment. She looked up, puzzled. He simply said, "I'm really glad I get to be your dad." That is the reset this touching offers, a return to the fundamental, awe-filled love beneath the daily clutter. The sixth touching, for yourself. Here, you bring the work of day 1 into your body. You touch the earth in gratitude for your own life, for your breath, for your resilience, for the journey you are on. You release into the ground any remaining harshness or disappointment you hold toward yourself. It is a physical act of self-forgiveness and self-honoring. The seventh touching, for those who have caused suffering. This mirrors the internal work of day 3, but now you bring your body into the process of release. You are not asking your body to reconcile, you are asking it to let go. A woman who practiced this for an ex-partner who had betrayed her described it as feeling like she was literally laying down a heavy sack she had been carrying for miles. She lay on the earth and imagined all the bitterness, anger, and hurt draining out of her body, into the ground, where it could be composted. Transformed by time and microbes into something that could nourish new growth, rather than poisoning her inner soil. When she rose, she felt lighter in a way that no amount of analytical thinking had ever achieved. The eighth touching, for future generations. This final touching is an act of hope and responsibility. You touch the earth for all beings who will come after you, your children, grandchildren, and all children of all species. You acknowledge that your healing, your peace, your actions today contribute to the quality of the world they will inherit. You offer your own well-being as a foundation for theirs. Let us now practice these 8 touchings together, gently, at your own pace and in a way that honors your body's capabilities. Find a stable, comfortable position. This might be standing, sitting on the floor, kneeling, or sitting in a chair. There is no wrong way to do this, the intention is what matters. We will move through each touching with 3 breaths. First touching, for ancestors. Bring to mind those who came before you, known and unknown, by blood and by spirit. Feel the chain of life that connects you to them. If you are able, lower yourself toward the earth in whatever way feels right, a bow, a kneel, a forward bend. Place your hands or forehead on the ground if possible. Stay here for 3 breaths. Feel the support of the same earth that held all your ancestors. Silently say, I connect to my roots. I receive your legacy. Rise slowly when ready. Second touching, for the land. Feel the ground beneath you now. This specific patch of earth, this continent, this planet. Acknowledge it as your fundamental home. Lower yourself again. For 3 breaths, feel gravity as an embrace. Silently say, thank you for holding me. I am home here. Rise slowly. Third touching, for those who make your life possible. Think of the vast, invisible network of human and non-human effort that sustains your life. The farmers, the water, the sun, the countless hands. Lower yourself. For 3 breaths, feel the interconnected web. Silently say, I am supported by a vast web of life. I bow in gratitude. Rise slowly. Fourth touching, for teachers and guides. Bring to mind anyone who has been a light for you, who has offered wisdom or kindness. Lower yourself. For 3 breaths, feel the transmission of wisdom across time. Silently say, I receive your light. I will pass it on. Rise slowly. Fifth touching, for your beloved ones. Bring to mind those you love from day 2. Feel your gratitude for their presence. Lower yourself. For 3 breaths, let your love flow into the earth. Silently say, "My gratitude for you flows through me into the world." Rise slowly. 6th touching, for yourself. Bring the compassion of day 1 into your body. Acknowledge your own journey, your resilience. Lower yourself. For 3 breaths, release self-judgment into the ground. Silently say, "I honor my journey. I release my burdens here." Rise slowly. 7th touching, for those who caused suffering. Only if you feel ready. Bring to mind the person or situation from day 3. This is an act of releasing, not reconciling. Lower yourself. For 3 breaths, imagine the weight of resentment leaving your body, absorbed by the earth. Silently say, "I choose freedom. I release you." Rise slowly. 8th touching, for future generations. Think of those who will come after, all beings. Lower yourself one last time. For 3 breaths, feel your connection to the future. Silently say, "May my peace contribute to your peace. I offer my healing for the world to come." Rise slowly. Now, stand or sit quietly for a few moments. Feel the integration in your body. You have connected the internal work of the mind with the external, physical reality of your interconnected, embodied life. This completes the 3-day journey of beginning anew in its fullest sense, not just as a mental exercise, but as a full-bodied return to presence, gratitude, and freedom. With this grounding, we are ready for one final, profound teaching that puts everything into perspective, the teaching on the 2 dimensions. The Buddha offered a perspective that can change everything once it moves from an intellectual concept to a lived understanding. We have spent these days working within the framework of time, day 1, day 2, day 3, new year, fresh start. All of this assumes the reality of time, that there is a past to release and a future to move toward. And in one very real dimension of our experience, this is absolutely true. This is the historical dimension. Here, time exists. Things are born, they change, they die. Moments pass. We age. We grow. We learn. We let go. We are like a wave on the surface of the ocean. The wave has a clear beginning as it rises from the water. It has a life as it travels. It has a clear end as it crashes upon the shore or dissolves back into the sea. If the wave could speak, it might say, "I was born over there near that rock. I am traveling toward the beach. Soon, I will die when I reach the sand." From the wave's perspective, birth and death are utterly real. Time is real. The wave has a history and a future. We live most of our waking lives in this historical dimension. We are the wave. We were born on a date. We will die on a date. Relationships begin and sometimes end. The new year comes, the old year goes. Everything is in constant, inevitable motion and transformation. This dimension is where our 3-day practice operates beautifully. It gives us tools to navigate change, to heal historical wounds, to plant seeds for a better future. But the Buddha discovered something that seems paradoxical. There is another, coexisting dimension of reality where time, as we understand it, does not exist at all. This is the ultimate dimension. To continue the metaphor, the wave is also water. And water has no birth and no death. Water was not born when the wave rose, it will not die when the wave crashes. Water simply is. It is eternal, formless, always present. It may take the form of a wave, a droplet, a cloud, an iceberg, but its essence, H2O, remains, never created, never destroyed. If the wave could touch its own deepest nature, it would realize, I am not merely this temporary, individual form. I am the water itself. And water is deathless. Now, you might think, that's a lovely metaphor for monks in robes, but what does it mean for my actual, messy life? Let's bring it closer. In the historical dimension, you have a body born on a specific day. That body will age, get sick, and one day die. That is real and true. In the ultimate dimension, you are also the water. The atoms that make up your body, the carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, have existed since the beginning of the universe. They have been stardust, rock, soil, plants, dinosaurs, other humans. They have taken countless forms and will take countless more after this particular body dissolves. Your consciousness, your awareness, its roots are in the consciousness of your parents, and theirs, stretching back in an unbroken stream with no identifiable first cause. You carry the DNA, the experiences, the survival of millions of ancestors in your very cells. You are not separate from them, you are their continuation. And what you learn, who you become, the love you cultivate, this will continue in the people you touch, the kindness you offer, the energy you leave behind. So, in the ultimate dimension, you have no birth date because you have always existed in some form, and you have no death date because you will always continue in some form. This isn't about a soul traveling from body to body, it's about seeing yourself as a temporary manifestation of life itself, which is eternal. What does this have to do with beginning anew? Everything. Because once you understand you exist in both dimensions simultaneously, everything changes. In the historical dimension, New Year's makes perfect sense. We track time, mark transitions, create rituals. These are beautiful, meaningful human inventions that help us navigate the dimension of change. But in the ultimate dimension, you are freed from the tyranny of the calendar. You don't need to wait for January 1st, for a Monday, for your birthday. Because in the ultimate dimension, every moment is both an ending and a beginning. Every breath is a complete cycle. The in-breath arises from nothing, exists, and dissolves into nothing. The out-breath does the same. You are constantly dying and being reborn, not once a year, but thousands of times each day, with each heartbeat, each thought arising and passing. This is why mindfulness practice touches both dimensions at once. When you say, "May I be peaceful," you are addressing the historical you, the wave that has a history of stress, that carries wounds. But simultaneously, you are touching the ultimate you, the water that is already, inherently, at peace because it exists outside the realm where suffering happens. The wave practicing loving kindness toward itself is also the ocean loving itself. When you touch this ultimate dimension, even for a second, fear dissolves. Not because you deny death, but because you understand that what you truly are cannot die. The waveform will end, but the water remains. Consciousness continues. Energy transforms but is never annihilated. There is a story of a monk in Thailand who was approached by a mother mad with grief after her young son drowned. She begged him, "Please, Venerable Sir, use your powers. Tell me where my boy has gone. Is he in heaven? Is he safe?" The monk did not give a theological answer. He took her to the riverbank where they found a clay pot. He filled it with river water and set it aside. Then he pointed to the flowing river and said, "Watch the water." They sat in silence as the river flowed. After an hour, he pointed to the water in the pot. "Where has the river gone?" he asked. She was confused. "It hasn't gone anywhere. It's still flowing." He then poured the water from the pot back into the river. "And where has the pot's water gone?" Understanding dawned on her face through her tears. The water hadn't gone anywhere. It had never been a separate thing from the river. It had simply returned, merged, its temporary form as water in a pot ended, but the essence continued, inseparable from the whole. Her son, in the ultimate dimension, was not gone. He had returned to the formless source from which he came, woven back into the fabric of life. This teaching doesn't erase the grief of the historical dimension. The mother still wept for the loss of her child's smile, his voice, his future. But it gave her a context for her grief that was not pure despair, but a heartbreaking recognition of a deeper continuity. So when we practice beginning anew, we are doing something beautiful and skillful. We are working wisely within the historical dimension, using the concepts of 3 days, fresh starts, reconciliation, to help us recognize and touch what has always been true in the ultimate dimension. You are always fresh, always new, always beginning, because you exist in a realm where time is not the ultimate reality. The practice frees you from calendar tyranny not by denying time, but by helping you see through it to what's always been here. This is the deepest gift of these teachings. Not just that you can begin anew, but that you are always already beginning anew, because that is the fundamental nature of existence in both dimensions. Constant, beautiful transformation in the historical, and eternal, peaceful presence in the ultimate. You are the wave, riding the surface of time, experiencing birth and death, joy and sorrow. And you are the water, timeless and free, never separate from the vast, compassionate ocean of being. Both are true. Both are you. And practicing with the awareness of both dimensions available, that is the freedom the Buddha discovered. That is the freedom he spent his life pointing toward. That is the freedom these 3 days of practice are designed to help you touch, not as a theory, but in the very fabric of your moment-to-moment living. As we come to the end of these teachings, remember, you are not really ending anything. You are continuing. You are transforming. You are beginning again even as you complete this particular wave of listening and practice. And that is perfect. It is exactly how it should be. Because in the ultimate dimension, there is no end. There is only endless beginning, eternal presence, the deathless nature of what you truly are beneath all the beautiful, temporary forms you take. Rest in that knowing for a moment. Feel it. Don't just think about it. Sense it directly in your experience right now. You are here. You have always been here. You will always be here. Not as this specific name and story, but as the aware, loving presence that witnesses all stories, as the water that joyfully takes the shape of every wave. Now, let's bring this all back down to earth, to practical, daily life. Here is what you need to know about carrying this forward. You have a portable toolkit. You don't need 3 consecutive days ever again if that doesn't suit your life. You can practice day 1, self-reconciliation, on a random Tuesday morning when you notice you've been self-critical. You can practice day 2, beloved ones, 3 weeks later when you feel distance from your partner. You can practice day 3, difficulty, when you feel strong and ready, maybe months from now. This is a living practice, not a rigid formula. You will forget. You will fall back into old patterns, lose mindfulness for days or weeks, forget to offer yourself kindness. This is not failure. This is being human. The miracle isn't in never forgetting. The miracle is in the moment you remember to come back. And you can always come back. With patience, with gentleness, without any judgment. Your seed body grows quietly even when you're not paying attention. Every kind choice, every mindful breath, every pause instead of a reaction waters those seeds whether you formally notice or not. Your practice is yours alone, yet universally shared. No one can do it for you, and no one can take it from you. And as you practice, you join a silent community of millions across time and space who have chosen the same path toward waking up. So, where are you now, after this time together? How do you feel? Something has shifted, however subtle. An inner doorway has been unlocked. This recording, these teachings, will remain here for you whenever you need to return, to begin again. Come back to it like coming home to yourself. If it feels right, you can imagine sharing, in your own heart, where you listen from, and what new beginning you are choosing to nurture. Beginning anew is always available. Not just once a year. Right now. This breath. This moment is a happy moment. May you be peaceful and light in body and mind. May you be safe and free. May you live fresh, solid, and free. May we all remember, and begin again, together. Welcome to the endless journey. Welcome to Monk's Moon Temple.